It's still playing on one of yours. I can hear it.
Yeah, that wasn't mine.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to the live stream.
Oh,
TJ and Ryan
over here too.
Yeah, what is that? Oh, you have your phone on?
Yeah, I was just checking it.
Yeah, my
What's up,
volume all the way
guys?
down.
We're just waiting on Kyle. He should be here any minute.
All right, sup, Wyatt, Scott T. What's up, fellas?
And what do you know? There he is. Hey, Kyle. How you doing, man?
Perfect timing.
Hey, good. How about you guys? What's going on? I didn't wear my Invincible shirt. I don't have
That's
an
all good.
Invincible.
This isn't Invincible. It's Circle Guy News. So
I know, but I guess Circle Guy News are Invincible fans.
true. I normally
bit.
have my Invincible
do
cup because it's not Invincible. I got my Buzz Lightyear cup. Look at that.
Love it. Hey, Bill, how's my
I'm
microphone?
terrible at this.
How's your what? Your microphone. You sound good, dude.
First of all, I like your cup, TJ. I don't want to gloss over that for a second.
I appreciate you.
I want to come back to that because as far as all the Buzz Lightyear cups that I have seen and I have seen some Buzz Lightyear cups, I don't really know how you could say anything more about it. It's
It's a good cup.
It's a real good cup.
Good cup.
Is that a spot gloss enamel?
What?
Ooh.
We're talking
I'm
to me?
gonna have to
You
hunt that
talking to
down
me?
myself.
I got that from Disney World.
Cal, do you have headphones in?
No.
No.
Should I?
Something
I can
is.
hear a little. I
We're
can hear a
hearing
little bit.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
I can put it in. 1 second.
Remember when you said something about your microphone?
I wasn't gonna say it.
I just try to get by without them.
Sup, Wyatt? Sup, Scott T?
So I asked Liz to bring me a beer, and she brought me a White Claw instead because she thought it would be hilarious.
He was right.
I gotta say too that that last time we jumped on a live, you thought that it was going like live, so you did your hair, and I just want to say now that we actually are live, your hair looks very nice.
Yeah.
Whose hair?
He was
Your
talking
hair.
to me.
Hair.
What's wrong with my hair?
No,
it
it looks
looks
very
good.
nice. I'm saying it looks
Oh,
good.
okay. All right.
Headphones working?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Is this better?
Yeah. We're not
I
hearing
could've-
the feedback anymore.
I could have just turned my what I usually do is turn my speakers way down, but
Yeah.
we'll do it this way. So I'm
Just
just glad these things are charged.
Just go across.
Yeah, I live with fucking furry jaws over here. Okay, like he's just like here he comes again.
No.
Oh,
There.
It's going the other way.
nice.
This is going to be all night. Just so
So
you guys know.
Kyle Higgins,
All right, I'm used to it with Oliver.
how has your past couple of months gone with the last
Bill
two
Freeze.
issues of what happened?
No, Bill didn't freeze. for
Great
us.
question, Bill. Great question.
Did we all freeze for you?
No, just Bill.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
No, he
it's
can.
unfrozen for us.
Bill can still hear you. He wanted to know how the last couple months have been with the release of issues 4 and 5.
Good, I guess. It's been a lot. Like it's pretty. It's just a lot. 24/7. You know, I mean, I work a lot kind of anyway to begin with, but then like these particular issues were like heavy lifts, and Marcelo had messed his hand up, and
Yeah.
but we finished 4 and we were so proud of 4, but then you have to follow it up really, really strong. And, just considering what the script was and what we wanted to try to do, like to build it out right with Eduardo and Natalia, we had to add extra pages, things like that. I mean, I was with you guys for some of that as we were planning that in one of the lock ports of the
That's
two
right.
lock ports.
That's right.
So,
Speaking of
yeah, it's been
Lockport,
good.
I wanted to kind of tell this chronologically a little bit, because I know
Sure.
a lot of this is kind of revealing this whole Circle Guy News thing and the like surprise appearance that we had in the comic and everything. So I want to kind of go
Tell
back
how
a
that
little
happened.
and play it out for people that might not have heard any of it. So first, I want to bring up a random bit of, I guess, trivia was that I visited Chicago 2 years ago with my wife, Katie, and we stayed in a town called Romeoville, which is just outside of Lockport, Illinois, which we thought was the coolest thing because we live right next to Lockport. I work in Lockport, New York. Go ahead.
Having now gotten to know Ryan a little bit, when he first told me that, I was like, that's really weird that you would end up in like Lockport, Illinois. Having gotten to know Ryan now, it is not surprising whatsoever.
That I ended up in Lockport, Illinois.
Bill, what was the line you had about Ryan? He likes to do things.
He does shit all the time, and he and Katie do things all the time.
Yeah, so it's like very much a like I could totally see you like, oh well, there's another Lockport that like that can't be too well. We need to go see it. You know,
like not only did we like intentionally get out, like we walked around like the train tracks that are in Radiant Black 1. We walked along next to those. We checked out little park that they had. We went into a comic shop that they have in town.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
A little park.
we went to the comic shop that's there that you know the owner of, and I actually remember tweeting out because I found issue 3 of Invincible for like a few bucks a couple years ago.
That's where you found it?
In Lockport, Illinois. Yeah.
How do we know this story about you going to Lockport? Like, how have we never heard this story?
I think I've told it, but yeah. So that's where we were, and then we stayed in Romeoville with a family member.
And that's where actually Radiant Black 6 takes place too, is Romeoville.
I wasn't gonna say, but yeah, there you go.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So isn't that crazy?
Okay.
So, so we ended up, visiting Chicago and staying there. So, flash forward a year and a half or so, almost 2 years later, and Kyle, you reached out to me because you had just discovered the podcast.
Yeah, it was it exactly a year? Was it a little more than a year?
It was a little more than a year, I think, because it was last fall,
May-ish.
last summer.
Yeah. I remember where I was listening to episode 50, because I jumped ahead. But I had been reading Invincible. I mean, we covered some of this on the episode that viewers and listeners can go and find.
Episode 91 of the Invincible podcast.
There you go. I'm in the countdown to 100.
That's right. And you were introducing Radiant Black. Radiant Black 1 hadn't been released yet. We were talking a little bit about it and this new book coming out that we were all excited for. And
yeah, well, and so what had happened was I had found the Invincible comics and finally actually read them. I'd been meaning to for years, and so finally actually read them. And as I was getting really deep into them, I can't remember if I actually had finished it when I found your podcast, but it was a day where there was a food delivery that I was paying for, like a meal prep plan. I'd gone like full keto, and it didn't show up, except I was. Are we back? Sorry, it looks like I glitched out.
Just for a second.
So I had gone full keto last year, and like I was getting some frozen meals delivered just to like help. And I'm sitting here all day, like in this exact chair, and I get an email, and they're like, "Hey, we tried to deliver, couldn't, so it's going to. We'll try again tomorrow." And I was like, I like looked out my window as the truck's pulling away. And I'm like, no, I'm here, like, and it's all frozen. What do you mean tomorrow? Like, there's no tomorrow. So they're like, well, you can come pick it up at a distro center that's like 45 minutes away in like not bad traffic. So like. Okay, so I drove down there and I was in awful traffic, like 5 p.m. And I was just thinking about Invincible, and I wonder if there's any podcasts. Like, I wonder if what the community for Invincible is and was like, especially since I was finding Invincible, years later. And your guys' podcast was the first one that popped up.
And this is something that you have a lot of familiarity with because of Power Rangers, right?
Yeah, so I had done. I met my editor and designer Michael Basudel and my co-writer on Ultraman Matt Groom, and he's doing Infernal Girl Red now. I met them because of a Power Rangers podcast that they did called Ranger Danger. Well, they still do, called Ranger Danger. And then we started a whole kind of monthly thing that we did for years called Ranger Danger Boom Room, and every month we would do an episode specifically, almost like a director's commentary, specifically about that issue that came out that month. And so it was really cool to hear you guys do episode breakdowns, and clearly there was like, you know, fun camaraderie, and everybody hates Bill, and it was just like the chemistry was so it was so great, you know. Thanks, Bill. But no, it was a lot of fun, and and also I think the Invincible account or Skybound had retweeted you guys or something, so I'd seen that as well, and so so I jumped into episodes, and then I was listening to the whole first episode as I was like driving down to pick up this food, and I think that's where I messaged you because I was like waiting for the food to show up.
The first episode, our first episode.
I started with the first one, and I skipped ahead. Yeah,
that was smart.
It was probably for the best. Yeah,
you're like, hopefully they get a little bit better.
I think around then was when you like messaged us, and I was like, oh great, go ahead and skip a few. Go ahead and But
it's funny because Ryan messaged us and he was like, Kyle Higgins. Do you guys know what Kyle Higgins? I was like, yeah, Nightwing. I have it like on my.
It's behind me right now.
He just messaged us, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Like, yeah, and then I was like, "Wait a minute, fucking Batman Beyond 2.0." Like
Bill and I both read that.
Yeah, like it was like that when that came out. It was like the digital comic revolution. Like that's when I got into digital comics, and I was like, "Wait, this Kyle Higgins is talking to you right now? Like, what the fuck's going on? Like the world just didn't make sense."
Yeah. So a lot of people might have heard, this part because that led to you being on the show, episode 91. We talked all about that, talked about Radiant Black. And what people didn't know at the time was you were kind of weaving social media into Radiant Black in a way and using the Radiant Black Twitter account in an interesting way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of the things that, well, I guess from a more kind of like 10,000 foot view, I've said this before, and we've talked about this. I mean, Invincible's a really great influence in this way, or at least a good example of this. I do feel like there is a responsibility in doing a creator-owned book to do something different and to really kind of push the envelope. And I believe that times 10 when it comes to creator-owned superhero books. I did one, Cowl, in 2014 and 2015, something I'm still massively proud of and we want to return to eventually. Mm-hmm. I believe it even more so with Radiant Black. And part of that, and really what the spirit of the book is, look, I didn't come up with the tagline, a superhero series for a new generation. I did not tag the book that, but that tag did kind of become something of a mission statement. And so if we're going to tell contemporary superhero stories in a monthly comic format where Marcelo, Michael, we can do kind of anything, it's like, okay, well then what do we do? And I thought, I also have some experience with ARGs. And I can't really get into that for NDA reasons. But I've always enjoyed them and have some experience with some stuff in that world, and so I thought, well, doing something in Radiant Black, if he's going to be a rideshare driver, there should be a social media component. As much as I despise social media, like there should be a social media component, and
we wouldn't be able to tell that, Kyle. How much you hate social media.
Because of how much I'm on social media.
Start a Discord. Where's the Discord? Hey, everybody, look at this and Twitter. And
I've never seen anything like a Discord before. Like that's
your first exposure. Yeah, for anybody listening or checking this out, check out the Radiant Black Discord
podcast.
It kind of brought me back to like AOL chat rooms and shit.
Yeah.
Like that's how it felt. I was like, wait a minute. So this is a new thing that's like kind of a retro thing that I can kind of understand a little bit.
Well, and I said this at one point. It's weird because for so much of my career, like I think I've written a lot of more serious comics, and I still do, and I have some stuff. I mean, Radiant Black you know, when it needs to be, will be incredibly serious, incredibly.
We've seen some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've done. But I think also, like, when you're a newer writer, or you're younger, like, and I've kind of talked about this before too, but like, you want everything to feel like clockwork. You want to show up. You have such imposter syndrome and such insecurities that you're like, I just want my book to be impressive. I want my book to look like a real book. I want people to think I know what I'm doing. And you can get tight. You know, I actually remember proofing the trade paperback for Batman Beyond 2.0. I was so excited to do that. It was coming off of like a not great experience on Nightwing for the New 52. And it was like, I have like kind of carte blanche here. I'm going to continue on from what the show did. And I love the show. Love. I was watching episodes last night. Like, I love the show. I love Return of the Joker. And like, okay, we're going to do this. And I did, after the first 18 chapters, they collected it all into a trade, or however many, 9, whatever it was. And I remember proofing the trade and hadn't looked at it in, 6 months or something, because more had come out. And the first half, like the first 8 chapters, are so tight. Like, they're just like dialogue stilted, like it's overwritten. It's like, I was like, man, like what was going on? And I get to the second story with the Batman, with the Man-Bat story, and it flows way better. Like, and I can see it. I can see myself like overthinking a scene or overthinking, and like, well, just, we need another line there to explain this or whatever. And so I didn't want to do that, and I also, along with that and that tightness, like, I didn't like meta. The idea of meta is like, no, I don't like that, because it takes you out of the narrative experience. Yeah. And at a certain point, it's like, can we swear on this? I can't remember.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I was like, fuck it. Like, let's just fucking have fun. Like, and especially in building Radiant Black, the idea that like, it's a superhero series for those of us that grew up with superhero series and love superheroes. Yeah. And like, how do you create a new superhero and not have people know what he is or she is when we are inundated with superheroes in pop culture on an hourly basis? Like, so it's just like, it all goes. The Marvel universe exists. Like, they're probably fans of it. He's a rideshare driver. Social media. Like, we need a social media superhero, which leads me to like, well, then social media should be a part of the book in universe. And those things interweaving are, it's something that you couldn't do anywhere other than Image.
Yeah.
I remember when we had our 4-hour-long talk, which episode 91 was only, I don't know, 40 minutes or 50 minutes, but we were chatting for quite a while, and you were talking to us about how you wanted to integrate social media and Twitter and like the back of the book stuff with Marshall's school and everything. And it was just so crazy to like hear your brain and like what's in your head, like out. I remember me, Ryan, and TJ were like, what did he mean by like a shared Twitter universe? Like what could that be? And like, until we like lived it firsthand, it was really hard to like grasp. So it's such like it's such a crazy idea that works so fucking well, and it makes so much sense when you see it down like in the book.
You've also managed to make it just so subtle too, I mean, like, it's not to the point where this is, you really need,
it's what it's about,
following it. Yeah, it's not what it's about. Like, just having that fun little, it's Easter eggs, it's,
well, those are the best those are the best ARGs too. Like, for anyone that doesn't know, like, augmented reality games, so it's like the Nolan Dark Knight experience. I don't know if people would remember that.
Yeah.
Cloverfield movie. Yeah,
Destiny the game does a lot of those.
The Cloverfield movies have done it as well. Like, it's storytelling. It's basically storytelling through marketing, kinda. Only because usually it's the marketing department that is actually like paying for it to like build it out and everything. But I think it can be even more than that, and the spirit behind it, especially when the creators are interested in doing it as well. And we had some experience, I did quite a bit on Power Rangers that it wasn't necessarily ARG, but it was like the live action promo, which slots in between 2 issues. I structured so it would all fit. And then the hyper RPG, the live, RPG game that they did, we did episodes that were also tied into Shattered Grid. But if you didn't see them, Shattered Grid still worked. Like I enjoy that stuff.
Yeah. Before we get too much further, I know it's been a few minutes and we might have let something slip.
Yeah.
But Eric Ganton picked up the first 4 issues based on our suggestion and hasn't read them yet. But it's all right. It's all right.
This is for spoilers.
He said it was right when you said. Then he's
no,
like,
why'd you say it again?
He already had it. No, and then he came back. But,
No, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
so sorry,
Eric.
No.
I think we make
dude.
mention. We make mention now that this is for people who have read and are caught up. Maybe a little late, but are.
Where was this? Where was this kicker?
People might have joined after we had said something, but sorry about that. We will be more aware. Hey, I guess let it be the creator if somebody's going to spoil something. But because we're about to enter
I'll
more.
I'll send you a very.
Hey, and that's not even the biggest. It's not even the biggest spoiler at this point.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, it's crazy. Someone said I'm looking for an older. Yeah, here it is. When we first started, and Ryan asked you how it's been for the first 4 issues, and you said it's been good. It's been good. Jay Nene said good. The man broke our hearts, then blew our minds, and it's been good.
Yeah, like this stuff's a lot of work. Okay, like this is a lot of
I'm fucking tired.
It's also
I'm launching another book too. Plus, I have 5 other books that are in different stages of everything. Plus. A movie plus there's not a Radiant Black movie, but a different movie that
we've heard from Robert Kirkman and Otley talking about how what issue are we on? Oh, I'm 5 issues ahead. I already had that heartbreak. You know what I mean? You might say, oh, I'm good, but the stuff that we're feeling now, you felt, months and months ago.
I don't want to steer this conversation off course too much because I know you're going through the timeline. The one thing I'll say though is you guys don't even know what this book is yet. I mean, you 3 do, but I'm saying to the chat, you don't even know what this book is. You might think you do, but you don't.
That's fine.
And that's the point. That's the point.
Yeah.
So there are so many superhero comic books out there. And 99% of them can't do whatever they want, and things can't change, and not anything can happen. This is the 1% of the books where truly anything can happen.
Yeah. And
we're going to take full advantage of that. It's going to go to some pretty wild places.
Yeah.
We don't even know everything. You've told us some things here and there, hey, I'm doing this, and it's fucking it's going to break comics. It's so good. The ideas that you have that are coming through it's going to be inside. It's going to be insane.
I have 3 years minimum planned. I want this book to go way, way longer, but that's why I have 3 years planned.
Yeah.
Because if we can get, I don't want to say too much. But
you do want to say too much.
Of course I do. Are you kidding? The best part of writing is being able to tell the story, not the writing.
Yeah. Before we continue, TJ, you all right, man? Scott was worried Oliver clawed your eye out.
It was Oliver. It was Oliver related. The little piece of shit. He dropped a whole bunch of stuff off my table, and then I went to go move my computer, and I don't know what happened, but Chrome just disappeared. So I don't know.
All right.
I'm here.
So
my eye is fine.
So the idea came along for us to, talk back to Marshall and Nate a little bit.
Oh, do you want to dive into that?
So we're getting into the creation of Circle Guy News, and then which leads into you doing some traveling and being nearby, and that's where we're at. So,
what about maybe you can explain. Let's do it from your end first. When I asked you guys, hey, and I know I couched it this way. I was like,
Oh yeah.
it's a really weird idea. I have a really weird idea.
So
why don't you guys go through that, and then I can explain from my perspective why, like how that idea and what and why.
So what happened after you came on episode 91 was like typically when we have creators on, they kind of just like go their separate way, and it's like great having you. But like we stayed
Not
in touch.
always though. There's sometimes where
always.
we actually get to chat for a while afterwards.
There is absolutely no creator out there that we talk as much as we do with Kyle.
Yeah.
So like, I mean,
I thought you meant after recording. It's not like, okay, bye.
Oh no. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it in that way.
What's weird, TJ?
But
that you say
we became like good friends.
Yeah, as much as we talk, like I was at work today, Kyle, when we were talking, and I was supposed to call one of my customers
Don't
back.
tell them what we were talking about.
I won't. I was supposed to call one of my customers back, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll call you right back." And I made up some lie because I was really into our text thread. And I literally said, "I will call you back in 5 minutes. I got to do this one thing. I'll call you back in 5 minutes." She literally called back an hour later and was like, "Hey, I thought you forgot about me. It's an hour later." And I'm like, "It hasn't been an hour." I'm like, "Oh, fuck, it's been an hour." And I was like scrolling through our thread.
You maybe don't want to tell that story on live stream, but
No one knows what
I'm kidding.
But go on, TJ or Ryan. Oh, Ryan. So what? So
what
when
TJ was saying, like after we recorded with
Bill's boss has entered the chat.
So Corey Card is actually one of my employees. I don't think he was there for that conversation. What's funny is
all
Corey.
of it?
I'll be on my phone and I'll be ignoring everybody, and then he's like, "What is that, Kyle Higgins again? We have to ignore us at work." I'm like, "It is Kyle Higgins. Leave me alone." Go on, TJ.
Oh no, just that we talked a lot about the comic. You told us bits and pieces of things you have in mind and things you have coming, and then just like one random day, you were like, "I have a kind of an odd." Kind of weird thought. What would you guys think if like somehow we put you in the comic as what we were, like Circle Guy News, and like it blew us away. Just the idea of being even a part of the comic in any sense, in any way, just like is like a nerd dream come true.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kyle, you might be better to explain it, but I think you wanted essentially like what we're doing for Invincible and in-universe version, essentially similar. Which is kind of what we, what it morphed into.
That exactly. I mean, I wanted to find. I mean, I just love Invincible. I wanted to find a way to not do a cool nod, but more than like, I didn't want to ask Robert, like, can I put an Invincible poster in the book or something like that? Which I guess I could still ask him that, but I wanted to do something that was more in the spirit of why Invincible was so bold and groundbreaking for me. Even reading it, 15 years after it first started coming out, you can see it. Like if you love superheroes and you've ever read superhero comics, you read Invincible, you read those first 12 issues alone. Jesus Christ, Ryan, a horse just walked behind you.
Did he?
We all have just animals everywhere. Everybody has animals.
Bill and Ryan both have horses, though, like straight up.
Yeah.
He must have heard my voice and wanted. He's like, "Oh, really? Someone will throw the ball far."
Yeah,
that's what
he went for.
No, so I wanted to do something that was both kind of in honor of Invincible, but also like the spirit of why. I don't know, like how I got into this stuff and. Just the idea that like you guys do a podcast about Invincible, every month and have for some time. And it purely comes from a place of love, but also you can tell like there's a lot of like, you guys know each other very well. You guys are legitimately very good friends and have been very good friends for a long time. And I think that's awesome. And so I'm part of me is jealous of that. Like I don't have anything I'm a fan other than the Chicago Bears. There's nothing that I am like truly a passionate fan of anymore. And that's the one kind of downside to doing this kind of stuff. Like as a writer anyway, like maybe it doesn't happen to every writer, but it definitely happened to me where it's like stuff, unless I have a connection to it from childhood or teenage years or something like that, like it's rare that I find something new that I'm like, I cannot see the wires,
Yeah.
you know? And so I thought like, well, let's just do something that embraces the contemporary and meta-ness of what this book is kind of becoming in a cool way. And rather than like trying to start or like force start a Radiant Black podcast, which someone has done, not you guys, and not Matt and Michael, like completely separate.
Yeah.
It was like, well, why don't we do that, but in universe? And in this universe, you guys, maybe you still like Invincible. We're not going to say, but those three, I mean, does Invincible, we don't like,
yeah.
So does the comic exist in our universe? Like I'm saying, like we're not, but these three versions of Lockport's, Ryan, Bill, and TJ,
different Lockport.
Just so happens
you live outside Lockport, Illinois, in that universe.
Yep.
That's what makes it so perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. One of many things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where the thought process came from. But then it was like, I got to pitch this to you guys. Like, this is real weird, and I need you to trust me on it. And you guys did. You didn't freak out too badly that it was an insane thing.
We wanted it. It was something that, you know, I mean, we've read your stuff before. We know you're an established writer. You know what you're doing. And again, it's just being a part of something like Radiant Black. When I mean, we had already read Radiant Black, and sure, it wasn't 5 issues in when we read it, but we knew that it was something, you know, for the risk of sounding corny, it was something special. You know, I mean, the first issue stands alone as something great. So, I mean, we knew of course we wanted to be a part of it.
So do you guys remember how the name Circle Guy News how we came up with that? Because we were trying to think of like, we were trying to think of, okay, so we're in this universe. What would we call our show or our podcast or our news program? We were trying to think of different.
The first thing that we couldn't do was call it anything Radiant Black because he did not have a name.
Exactly, and that was what was tricky.
In the comic.
At this point in the comic, when we were coming up with it, and we wanted to start weaving it in, he wasn't called Radiant Black in universe.
So I remember I knew I had done or was going to do the gag in issue 3 where Marshall ends up naming him Radiant Black. Like I'd written that scene like last summer, like on a bicycle ride. I was like, oh, that's actually gonna be, I like pulled over to type it, to write it out on my, like a notepad, like a iPhone notepad or whatever. I knew he was not, I mean, I carry stuff on bike rides, but pen and paper, not usually.
Yeah.
But I knew I was going to have him leave a note with the money at the end of issue 2 that says, I think you lost this, and he draws a circle. Michael, our editor and designer, Michael might have called him Circle Guy at one point, or Michael and I called him Circle Guy. The name Circle Guy had like popped up, and I knew that I knew Marshall's first tweet from the Radiant Black Twitter account was going to be, hey, I'm the Circle Guy who gave back the money. Just the idea that like no one knows what to call him. So people are like calling him Circle Guy. It just like made me laugh. And so so then it became a question of like, or the idea came about of like, well, maybe the Circle Guy news account is why he even calls himself Circle Guy. Like maybe this fictitious in-universe real, like YouTube or Twitter or podcast kind of network calls him Circle Guy, and that just caught, and that's what people call him now. And so he even calls himself Circle Guy. So again, it's additive. Like if you were following Twitter, you probably would have seen, you can scroll back through Circle Guy News' timeline. I mean, TJ, when was the first tweet?
Ooh, I gotta look it up.
But yeah, at this point,
it was a couple months ago.
So we were talking with Kyle, trying to figure out timeline of, okay, so when is this going to be revealed in the comic? When is Marshall going to tweet that out? And when should Circle Guy News tweet out, you know?
Oh my gosh.
And so on.
It was March 28th.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah,
it was a long time ago.
We've been doing this for quite a while.
Wow.
I mean, we actually did a full thread basically explaining who we were. Yeah, that's crazy. I forget, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
No.
But yeah, if you're a Radiant Black fan, go follow us at Circle Guy News.
So
if you're a radish, I think that's what until it changes, they're called radishes at the moment, I think.
oh
There's been a whole debate about what Radiant Black
fans are called.
Yeah. Because it was Michael started it in the letters column, like, are they called radiants? It's like, well, no, because the things are called radiants. And
Yeah.
it's like someone said radishes or raiders or
I like radishes. Radishes is ridiculous enough to work.
Yeah.
right.
All right. So we got the name Circle Guy News. We're going back and forth. You ended up doing some traveling, and we're like, hey, you're writing issue 5 pretty soon. This is the issue that you want Circle Guy News to appear, which was blowing our minds. And so you're like, hey, I'm going to be around the area nearby.
No, you were thinking about like just you wanted to like kind of get away and go somewhere, and you're like, oh, I think we were like jokingly, we're like, oh, you should come up. And the thing that was awesome about it too was as we were like planning it, I think some of us were like, it's cool to plan it. He's not gonna come up. He's not gonna come up. And then like,
I've never been to Buffalo for starters.
Yeah.
So didn't realize that that's where the wings originated. So that was reason alone.
You didn't know that. You didn't know that buffalo wings originated from Buffalo.
I don't think that's a common thing.
Really?
I actually did not know that. I assumed it was like a weird like buffalo the animal, but then somehow chicken got replaced or got used to replace, like, I don't know.
I'm from
I guess
Buffalo,
that
and
makes
I
sense.
thought that when I was little. I'm like,
Well,
why are
because
they called
Buffalo Wild Wings, their logo is a buffalo.
Oh, they
And
are
so you
not.
just assume like, oh, it must be that. Had no idea. But yeah, I also knew. So I was vaccinated. I was like, I'm cooped up here with my cat, and I was like, I have to leave. I have to get out of LA. And Mother's Day was coming up, and I wanted to go to Chicago to surprise my mom for Mother's Day. Spoiler alert, I did.
Yeah,
beforehand,
and that was
beforehand, I flew to Buffalo and didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
So we could work on this and hang out, and it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
We did a lot of cool things.
Yeah. So we got to hang out. We got to, show you. Let's see. I got photos. So of course, the stop we had to make was in Lockport. So you shared this one over on Twitter. But actually going to our version of Lockport is pretty cool. In Lockport's Clyde.
And you know what's weird is it was fucking beautiful. Like
it was
the entire time leading up to it, and then the weekend you got there, it was fucking freezing
and raining that day.
The first night we did a bonfire at my house.
That was great. That was so great.
Yeah, but dude, it was like 40 degrees outside, and we're like, we're gonna stick it out. We're gonna stay here. It was awesome. No, it was great. It wasn't that cold, but it was fucking cold.
I mean,
for
us, I don't think it was that bad.
No, and you know what the weird thing is? Well, I've been having some health stuff, and some of it had like really started to pop up before that trip. And then when I got to my parents' house, because I flew like at like TJ, that was like a 4 a.m. We like left for the airport at like 4 a.m.
Yeah, it was super early.
It was really, really early. And I flew. I landed at like 7 a.m. in Chicago, and I was like, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know when I was, nothing. And I got home and, surprised my mom, and that went great. And then I was just there for like 2 days. And,
can I say
yeah,
that video?
Yeah. Thank you.
Like, it's funny. It's weird how like Bill's mom and my mom always have similar stories, because like when you posted that video of you surprising your mom and your mom was like crying, Bill showed it to his mom, and completely separately I showed it to my mom, and they both cried.
Yeah,
even I cheered up a little bit.
Yeah, I did too. Oh man, when your mom, it's on his Twitter. It's on at Kyle Higgins Twitter, and and Instagram. Oh my god, it's the most heartfelt thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Like when she hugs you and then looks back and can't believe that she's looking at you. That's the part that got me. I was like, oh my god, this is.
I hadn't been home in like I mean, a year and a half or something like that. And so, yeah, and going back was great. And they were pretty certain I wasn't going to be able to come in until like August. My sister was in on it. My dad knew about it too. But then when I was there, it was like, you know, I was like having a lot of like my family was like, "Are you okay?" Like they hadn't seen me in a while, and I was, you know, not like health. Like I said, like I wasn't eating. Like I couldn't eat dinner a few nights. Like my stomach was so just upset, and it's kind of a stress. I think it's a stress thing too. But then some other stuff, and I need more surgery. It turns out, which I'm not looking forward to. But but basically, like. I don't know how the hell we got on this, but yeah, heading out to Buffalo was like a great, like that, and going back to Illinois was like a great reset. And it's like, it's also like, I totally like, there's a part of me that like very much wishes I lived somewhere where I could do that and have like bonfires in our backyard and stuff. Cause we used to do that growing up. I can't do that out in LA, you know?
We did, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we bonfires. We did do some axe throwing. This unfortunate photo of Bill and TJ.
That's me and TJ.
We did go check out Niagara Falls.
It was very wet. Yeah.
Yes, and cold.
It was both.
And that was the first time you got to visit the falls.
If we had more time, I wanted to do
Made of the Mist. Made of the Mist.
Cave of the Winds.
I gotta come back and do
Cave of the Winds. Yeah.
But all the while, like
do.
this was actually during a point where I don't know if people that were following Radiant Black on Twitter or might have been following Circle Guy News at the time. This was when there was a little back and forth Q&A kind of thing going on. So like we're driving around Niagara Falls and Buffalo, and TJ and Kyle are tweeting at each other in the same car. And so that's when
Circle
it was
Guy
like,
News,
and that's when Radiant Black was like, all right, ask away, and acting as Marshall in universe, answering questions about Red.
I want to be careful here about like, I don't want to. There's more going on with the social accounts that like we're being reductive right now in terms of like that. But there's more going on with them, and in particular, like who's involved and things of that nature. So I don't mean to cut you off, Ryan, but I don't want to pull back the curtain too far.
You at least had the login for a moment. So
that's the thing, is sometimes it's me, but it's not always me. It's often not me. So like I don't, but sometimes it is. So
I mean,
this one was like, it's narrative. Like I said, there's more going on that I can't get into.
There's more than meets the eye. Transformers.
I
mean,
who is Square Guy? Does anyone know who the Square Guy is? Because we don't know.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. We don't know who Square Guy is. Okay. However,
I don't know who a number of the accounts are. I just want to go on the record and say
I am convinced that Kyle is Square Guy and he's lying to us all.
I am not confirming nor denying the identity of any social accounts that interact in the Radiant Black social universe. I mean, they're just
things.
There's a reason why Pierre wants to be on the stream so bad. He's got thumbs.
Pierre Square Guy?
Pierre Square. So, but all the while we're figuring out what we're going to do in this scene.
Yeah.
So you've got the, we're getting, this page created, you're writing it. And I think inks came in around this time.
Not when I was I there? Yeah, they were. So. The inks, the first round of inks came in on the page when I was there, but yeah, we kind of scripted it there, and then actually at the bonfire, I was messaging. I was talking to Michael, and I said, "Hey, could you do a quick Circle Guy News logo. And he's like, well, what is it? And I was like, I don't know. Like, can you just do something? And one of you, Ryan, I think you and Bill, or you and TJ, had the thought of like, oh, could we do the G as a black hole? I don't think I even told Michael that. And he just sent this back like 5 minutes later.
It was brilliant. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Like,
It was literally the first fucking thing, like minus a couple tweaks, but it was legit the first fucking
so
thing that
clean.
he did.
It's
was
such a
awesome.
good design, man. It's so good.
Michael, if you hear that, the Invincible guys love your work.
What's crazy
100%.
too is that like the whole time that you were with us, you'd have like an idea for something, and you'd be like, "Oh, let me text him," and then like within seconds he would send back exactly what you wanted. Like this dude like always at his computer or something. He's super quick. It was nuts.
Well,
Yeah, that was quick, TJ. That's a good point. Like, does he always have like a fucking sketch pad on him or something? It's crazy.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, we don't really make a book in kind of the traditional way. Like, we make it kind of in real time, like all over like Google Hangouts, like over GChat. Like I have messages right now that I haven't seen since I'm here.
So
No, he literally just messaged me. He goes, I know you're on a podcast. Don't reply to this now. And he just sent me. Okay. That's yeah. Okay. Well, I was almost going to tell you what it was, but it actually makes no, like, it would be like huge spoilers. So the idea that I was thinking about today, he had thoughts on.
This is cool. So a couple people actually in a row are saying that they need the Circle Guy News logo on a shirt.
If Circle Guy News could only like, if only Circle Guy News and Radiant Black could just work together in some way, shape, or form.
Can I share the inks from that page?
Yeah.
So there we have it. This is what you showed us one of the first things you showed us of it.
Yeah, you were still in town,
and we knew. Yep. So again, ticker on the bottom. We're spoiling this. At this point, we knew that we were going to be reacting to the building collapse, the fight between Radiant Black and Radiant Red. Someone dies on the scene. Like we're getting this news report coming in, so we're like, okay, so we're tweeting out as Circle Guy News as though we had just heard that this event happened. There was a fight, or because we're following this hero in universe in real time, and we're trying to get all the news we can because that's what we do. That's kind of our thing in that universe. And so we spent a lot of time talking about what are we saying? What are we going to be saying in this scene? And like it being this newscast and Marshall watching it and, building this kind of animosity somewhat to Marshall and Circle Guy News, as well as I like it because it really shows how clueless we are, which I think is a fun meta play on us reacting to things in Invincible sometimes because we have no idea.
I like that more so because it's just not even just a play on us, but people. Yeah, I've seen I've been watching like other reviews like outside of people who don't know who the Invincible podcast is, and they see this as exactly what Ryan said, but they don't know who we are. They're like they're considering it like something that Kyle wrote in here to like kind of make fun of podcasts, kind of make fun of like we're people that we're viewers because we
wait really
like
someone thinks that that's awesome.
Yeah, just to like. Because we don't always know what's going on and we're just like grasping at straws. We don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
Bill.
Wait, hold on.
People just
are they saying that? So are they saying that because are they thinking I'm taking a shot at like reviewers?
I don't know.
Because if they think that, the irony is if they don't know you guys are Circle Guys News, then that actually is the very point that you don't even know what you think you're commenting on.
That's what
Like,
I'm saying. That's why I think
that's actually kind of
perfect.
That's kind of
It
like
kinda
internet
plays-
beautiful.
Yeah.
Like that's like 99% of the internet in a nutshell.
I think that's how they took it. Like that it was, you know, that it was a
Well,
shot.
that was not my intention. But I
it
did
works
think
out.
that having like real world in universe feedback across social media, like there's no way he wouldn't be trending as like weird circle guy flying in Chicago. It's like, whoa, like, you know, like a dude stands on top of a drone flying through Manhattan last week.
Yeah.
At least a block worth.
Yeah.
And that was viewed however many millions of times. It's like a dude legit flying with like and gives money back to cops with a weird note and a circle symbol that looks like the London Underground like tube system. Like that would have been that would have been the funnier Circle Guy News name is like London Underground.
I think it has something to do with that.
Yeah.
I actually got a few people saying, without really knowing the whole story at the time, that it sounded just like us. Like the back and forth, the banter sounded just like us.
Yeah.
Before knowing that, like, yeah, we actually had something to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was
To
fun.
be fair, to be fair,
Oh, yeah, there it is.
No,
There
do
it
you need to
is.
say something?
can I just say something really quick? To be
Also,
fair,
I listened to yes, we did do this together. I also listened to a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
And the idea of Bill chiming in, can I just say something? That one I do hang my hat on as it was a staple.
That's what I was
going
to say. Like, to be fair, the main punches of this dialogue was Kyle. Like,
Absolutely.
so it was flattering. Like it was months ago when we were talking about when you were texting like, hey, I want to do this thing. You kind of had a scene mapped out, and it was the beats of it were kind of the same as this. And I didn't have any notes. I was like, man, you fucking know me. I must like wear it all out there for everyone to see pretty well. But yeah, I mean,
just wait until the scene where you have to sing in the punk band.
Oh man. Is it going to be a cover of U2's Somebody Save Me?
Oh,
I hope so.
Yeah. Always.
So yeah, let's see what else.
I gotta say too, like you came up and one thing we didn't talk about was we going over this dialogue before we dig into the actual dialogue. We kept trying, like you came up here so that we could write this and we can like talk about the Twitter accounts and we can do all this stuff, but we were doing so many other things that we were just like, oh, we'll get to it later. We were doing so many fun things. And so we did, I want to go back to it because we didn't bring it up before, but we did the axe throwing. We obviously went and got wings. We did some bonfires, but the second day we went and did a hangover themed escape room. And there's nothing like meeting somebody for the first time and having to fuck a wall with a bunch of dildos in order to get out of a room.
Yeah, that happened.
That was so much fun.
So I forgot about that. Even as you were telling the story, I forgot about that.
There's a reason. There's a reason you forgot about it.
Well, it was maybe the best escape room I've ever done.
It was insane.
It was incredibly good. Incredibly good. I did not get to partake in that portion, TJ.
You didn't have a dildo? We got to get you back here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can't all get what we want.
Yeah.
I guess. I'm not sure. In that game, anyway, I guess.
Yeah.
It was really funny how like we figured it out too. Like, man.
Well, don't spoil
yeah.
it.
Oh
So
yeah,
we
I
can't
should
spoil
spoil
it.
it.
We can't spoil it.
Yeah,
For
you're
everybody
right.
in the
Yeah,
Buffalo
probably
area.
wanna do
Scott
it.
lives in Buffalo. He might go check it out.
Mhm.
As far as
Someone else in the chat said that they lived in South Buffalo.
oh really?
Scott T says he lives in South
That's what
Buffalo.
I said. Scott.
Oh, okay. All right. then.
But yeah, as far as the dialogue goes, it came down to like, what are we complaining about? Like, what are we on this report saying? And ultimately, it's we knew it had to do with the fight. We knew that it had to do with what was going on there. So it became, why is he leaving? What's going on? Because he's seen fleeing the scene, essentially. Someone died. There's injured. There's, a building destroyed. And this guy that we looked up to, which is this kind of leans into Bill's end of it, is like, what the hell, man? Like, this is someone that we respected. We thought this guy was a hero. And so that kind of sparks the, that whole train of thought. So, yeah.
It was fun, and I always knew that it was going to end with Marshall calling you douchebags.
Yeah. So, the other awesome thing I want to share is the second printing cover.
Yeah.
Which is just too perfect. And obviously, we can't go without bringing it up.
I can't remember if it came up when I was in Buffalo or just before, but this was Eduardo Ferragato's idea. Eduardo and I were messaging, and during the fight in issue 5, Eduardo and I were building it in real time. Yes, the Wednesday pull list. It is the ultimate icebreaker. Well done, sir. Well done. But Eduardo and I were talking about it as he was structuring the fight. And I told him, I was like, I'll get you extra pages. Like, we need to do this. Like, I want to do a Conquest Invincible homage with this mech armor and Radiant Black cape mode, because as you see in the issue, spoilers here, but in the issue, like, both of these kind of modes happen for these characters for reasons. And I just thought it would be a really, really cool thing to do. And he goes, he's like, it'd be a better cover. And I was like, it would be a better cover.
Yeah, and he was right.
But then it became like, that means issue 5 has to sell out for us to get that cover. We thought there was a good shot of it based on what the order numbers were and what we knew we were doing in it. And so, sure enough, that did end up happening, and we were able to put this out actually this week. We were able to announce it.
That's right. It's amazing. Do you know when this one's on stands?
Yeah, it'll be on stands the same day as issue 6. So that's July 21st. Yeah,
awesome.
This and issue 6 FOC on Monday, actually.
There you go.
Days.
It's so exciting too that Radiant Black is selling well, because the more it sells, the more Radiant Black we get. And it's just, I mean, we've talked to you in the past. I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you're like, oh yeah, it's getting a second printing. It's getting a third printing. It's like, it just keeps selling and selling. And it's so exciting. It's so good.
Which means it's doing awesome covers too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the tricky thing, especially about a creator-owned book, like that I feel like a lot of people don't really understand, is that it's such a small needle to try to thread every month for retailers when it comes to ordering. But at the same time, it's as creators, like, if you overprint too much and it doesn't move, then you're paying for dead stock at Diamond for like storage fees. And then eventually you have to liquidate that stock. So it's this, like, it's a little bit of like a Cold War game between like retailers and creators or publishers, in that it's like, order more so you can hopefully have copies on the shelves. And they're going, well, we don't want to get stuck with copies. And we're going, like, they're going, print more, and we're going, like, we don't want to get stuck with copies. Like, and so you try to find a happy medium where you overprint for reorders, but you're mitigating risk as best you can, or as much as you can. And then beyond that, also, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, for me personally, like, it's fun to be able to do more covers. I've never done multiple covers on my creator-owned books before, ever. This one felt a little different and felt like, it was something that we wanted to do. And so I promise you, if we keep doing more covers, like, we'll keep bringing the good stuff.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I don't really know of another comic that, like, goes all out with fresh art on its reprints, and it's
Mhm.
and it's all awesome fucking stuff. Like, it's a collector's dream. It really is. Like, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
everybody that I've seen talking on Twitter and, the Radiant Black podcast, and, everybody is talking about how they've never seen such consistent covers in a comic, and how they're all, literally all of them are fantastic. They're all by different artists, a lot of them are by different artists. It's just, it's awesome.
Can I just say one thing, please, really quick? But really,
No, but you're going to. Go ahead.
we can edit it. We can edit this out afterwards.
No, it's live.
Oh
This
shit!
actually is live. Yeah.
We didn't plan that. We should have done
I
something.
know that was good. So I think that what makes Radiant Black so special is that not only is the actual story great and the characters are amazing. I fucking love every single character, Marshall, Nathan, obviously, but like all the little things that go into this comic book, Kyle, you and your team put as much effort into making the story good, into making the fucking variants, the cover variants good, like the stories in the back of the books, like Marshall's School. Like, guys, I'm telling you from experience, like talking to Kyle, a lot of thought and a lot of love and a lot of heart goes into everything that you like about this book, whether it goes unnoticed or whether it goes like it blows up like that Conquest cover. And I just, that's what makes Radiant Black special, is not just the story. It's the entire thing. Like, the entire thing you guys are building is so fantastic. And it's such a labor of love, you could tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to, this isn't the reason to do it. And it's not the reason that we did it or that we do these things, but it is nice that people seem to appreciate them, like, because that's not always the case, especially in comics. Mm-hmm. And I've done enough books over the years where it launches and you put everything into it, even on the creator-owned side, and it just didn't land for whatever reason, And so I'm really proud of this and of what we've all done together, and that's kind of the key. Is like, there's no way I could do this book by myself, like not in a million years. Like the amount of work that Michael does, like on a given day, is like pretty bananas. He's also in Australia, so he wakes up or never sleeps, or I don't know how it works down there. Like things go backwards, toilets flush the other way. I think it's summer when it should be winter, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, it's all over the place. Then you're right.
But he wakes up.
He bathes in a pile of goo like Cecil.
That's by choice. That's not. He's just all about that Ivan Ooze life. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Ivan Ooze, great poll.
Appropriate.
I think he's watching this also. So
Ivan Ooze?
Ivan Ooze is watching this for sure. He's got a fucking like YouTube like red subscription in that Ooze hut of his or whatever. But just like Michael wakes up at like 2-3 p.m. LA time, which is like 6 a.m. in Australia, and something's on fire every day. Like something is, or an issue is sold out, and it's like, and we have like, it's just, there's a lot, and there's a lot more we want to do, and we're planning. And that's the thing, is like, we have like these crazy huge plans. Mm-hmm. And then there's other things like merchandise, stuff like that we're working on, but it's also like, we just don't have, there aren't enough hours in the day. Like we're like doing so much, because there's, like I said, there's a ton of stuff behind the scenes that like you guys all don't even kind of know about yet. Yeah. So having like a really killer team that is like really on it and loves this stuff as much as I do is awesome. And so it really is this kind of like 24/7 thing in certain ways. Hopefully it won't always be that way. Hopefully we can kind of like be able to like take a vacation or relax at some point here. But in the immediate future, like, we want to keep plowing ahead.
So issue 6, July 21st, along with the second printing of issue 5. Before we wrap up, maybe some questions, if there's any,
Sure.
or if there's anything else you guys want to bring up, because that was pretty much the gist of it. I mean,
we one thing I'll say is we talked about, like, Bill brought up how much love goes into this and how much time Kyle and his team spends on this, like not just the story, not just the art, but also the variant covers and also the second printings and third printings and all that. But like you said, Kyle, at the beginning of the podcast, you have like all these other projects going on at the same time. And one of them specifically I wanted to bring up that was just recently announced was and was actually in the back of there was a preview of it in the back of a sender. Was Ordinary Gods. And you actually let us read the first. I read the first issue of Ordinary Gods, the full issue, and it was. I'm so excited for it, and I'm not just saying that because we talk a lot and we're friends. Like honestly, like the ending of the first issue was incredible, and I cannot wait for more. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, it's so that'll be out July 7th, and that's me and Felipe Watanabe, Frank William on colors, Clayton Cowles on letters. Michael is editing and designing on that one as well. And this is something like I've been working on for probably about 10 years off and on.
That's crazy.
So it's a book that is something of a cross between like The Matrix and Highlander, I guess I would comp it as. And it looks at the idea of kind of immortal archetypes in this like long-standing civil war, and the immortal archetypes who have been trapped during this long-standing kind of immortal, war of the gods beyond the realm of our own. And the prison is this barren planet called Earth, and the prison cell is life. And so 5 archetypes that we've come to know: the leader, the prodigy, the brute, the trickster, the genius. They have been reincarnated hundreds of times, maybe thousands, depending on how far back it goes.
So smart.
Through these different lives. And Christopher, who is the manifestation of the leader, he's a 22-year-old kid going through some stuff right now. And his life is about to change dramatically. And the only way to perhaps save everything he knows is to become a god again. So this first issue drops, like I said, July 7th. This cover that's on stream right here is it's a cool jam piece of different lives that Christopher has an association with.
Is that the immortal right there? Left of center?
Pretty sure he thought he was immortal. That is a Mr. Joseph. We'll call him Mr. Joseph. Mr. Joseph S. Drawn by the legendary Dave Johnson. So
TJ was referring to the other guy, right?
I'm talking about the
with the mustache
left of center.
No. Oh, I mixed up I mixed
Abraham
Immortal with no. You're gonna kick me. You're gonna take my invincible card away. I'm mixing up Immortal with a Viltrumite.
Oh no!
Oh, because you thought
the mustache.
Yeah. Wires crossed. Too many hours in Radiant Black.
We got there.
but yeah, so that's Abraham Lincoln by Rod Reese, Cleopatra by Tula Lotay, Eric the Red by Dan Panosian, Joseph Stalin, The Viltrumite by Dave Johnson, Queen Elizabeth I by Nicola Scott, and I can never pronounce this samurai leader's name, but he's by Declan Shelby.
Awesome. It's so honestly, as a writer, you're not just writing. You really care about the art and incorporating cool things with the art and just doing different things. And they're all somebody different. It's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I'm sure people don't hate you, Kyle, that work with you closely, but I'm sure it gets really irritating when you say, "Wouldn't it be cool if?" Because it always happens. Like when you say, "Wouldn't it be cool if all of these characters were drawn by different artists?" And then they're like, "Yeah, it would be. Let's make it happen." Like that's your brain is just. I love it. I admire it because it's just you're not afraid to say, "Wouldn't it be cool if?" and to fucking make it happen because that's what us fans love.
Hey guys, how would you feel about
Yeah, that right there.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
So Michael's brining chicken, but he's watching, and I think it would be fun if we looped him in. Is it hard to add a fifth? Do we have a link?
No. Do you got the
Send
link?
me a
Do
link.
you want me to?
Or is it a link from email? Will that
I
work?
sent it in email and in a text.
Kyle, we got while we do this.
I need a beer.
Games
Ask some
Unhinged said,
questions. Let me grab a beer.
Kyle, is there anything you can say about Darkhawk while you walk away? Well, I can answer him. I can answer that question. I'm sure he can. Someone also
Bill,
commented
tell us
on-
what you know about Darkhawk.
No, Bill, absolutely do not do that. Because I don't remember if I told you anything about Darkhawk.
I was teeing Bill up to not really know anything.
Yeah.
But good save though. Just in
You
case.
know, wouldn't it be
I don't
cool,
remember
though?
if I've told Bill about Darkhawk.
That's your brain.
Darkhawk is cool. Darkhawk was a character that I didn't know that much about. I passingly remember him from the 90s. It's actually Ryan Parrott and I were talking about him this last summer, and just weird the way the universe works sometimes. Marvel kind of reached out to me like a few months later, and they were like, "Hey, would you want to do Darkhawk?" And I was like, if you'd asked me a few months ago, I would have said, is that the guy with, but now, yeah, I would actually, because there's a really cool concept there. And the core of the concept is about you guys probably know, it's what's really interesting about the concept is that it's a body swap with an android, not a transformation. And he still controls it with his consciousness. And so in creating a new character to take on the mantle, Connor Young, I'm creating someone who in issue 1 is diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And so the idea of controlling something through a synaptic connection, what does that look like for someone with a neurodegenerative condition? And so that's really kind of the heart of what my take is for this story, at least. So it's being drawn by Juana Ramirez, who's an artist I love. We've been trying to work together for some time now, so it's cool that it all came together for this one. It's gonna be fun. So I'm like more than halfway done, I think. Or not. Well, I shouldn't say halfway done, but like of what my initial what I'm doing, like I've got like a couple issues I gotta finish up still. So
Yeah. All right.
There he is.
Hey, Michael.
Hello, I'm brining chicken.
Hey, do you have a knife that you can pull up that you can hold up and say, that's not a knife?
Come on,
Can
really?
you say it?
I'm
Say
not
the
going
line.
to. That's racist.
Bill.
Is this the first? This is the first time you guys have ever met.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is.
Nice to meet you, man.
It is.
You too, guys. I've
So-
been watching. I just thought I can't join. I'm brining chicken. And I was like, that's fine. Just brine chicken on stream.
Perfect.
This is the mythical Michael. I'm jealous of your chicken brining because I don't know how to do that. There's a lot of
follow a
cooking.
recipe.
Oh, but then
I'll send you this recipe, Kyle. It makes real good fried chicken.
Ooh, okay. All right. I'm down for that.
Just send it to all of us.
Yeah, I'll put it in the private chat.
There you go.
All right.
So so I'll introduce everybody. So Ryan, this is Michael, Bill, and TJ. This is Michael, Bill, TJ, and Ryan. What's really even more meta on this front is that Michael is very, very familiar with running podcasts. Specifically,
I've done one or two in my time.
Yeah. So Michael and I met because he runs the Ranger Danger podcast along with Matt Groom and some others, Lauren and Tim. They've done about 500 episodes now. Is that?
That's an underestimate. I think we might be pushing 7 at this point.
Wow. How many years have you been doing that podcast for?
Coming up on 8.
Wow.
And have you ever
Jeez.
missed a weekly? Have you ever missed a weekly release date?
No, of course not.
It's insane.
On top of
This
This is
everything
why
else.
Michael edits. This is why Michael edits my books. It's also why I have 3 years planned out, because as much as I like to find things, Michael's like, yeah, but I can't plan for that. And so it's actually really good because it forces me to build out, but also I can talk with Michael and plan. And then I can tell Michael, I don't know how to do this. And Michael can tell me, well, here's how you could fix it.
And then normally he says, well, I'm not going to do that, but that gets you there eventually.
Not always. Okay. Also, I saw someone walk behind you. Is that your mom? I've never met your mom. Your mom needs to come on the stream.
You cannot meet my mother on stream.
Oh, no.
No, she's just said that that's unacceptable.
I can have a hello quick line.
No, you're not.
I'm not dressed properly.
You're not coming on stream.
Okay.
That's a hand she's waving.
Hi, Mrs. Basuto. Miss Basuto. I'm not sure.
She
What's,
can't hear you. I've got headphones in.
Tell her I said hello in whatever nomenclature is appropriate.
He said hello.
Hi, Kyle.
Okay, I'm leaving the chicken. I'm done with my brining my chicken. I'm going to sit somewhere else.
See, this is proof that he's excellent at multitasking.
He's like, you have stairs? Oh my gosh. I'm learning so much.
I got to call out Games Unhinged just joined the chat and says, these guys look like Circle Guy News dudes. We are the Circle Guy News dudes.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about, or we wanted to talk about with Michael, though, and why this is even more perfect, is because Michael, I don't know if you were watching before this or not, but or when we were talking about this, but when I messaged you and said, hey, could you do a Circle Guy News logo real quick? All of the guys here were remarking, and were remarking in real time in person at it was 5 minutes later, you just sent this ridiculously awesome logo.
Crazy quick.
I mean, the part that you haven't mentioned, Kyle, is that you keep me so busy that I don't have enough time to spend more time on things. So they just have to happen straight away.
That makes sense.
Yep, really? Yep, there we go.
That's
yeah,
why you
there's-
just don't ever leave your computer. You're always just there.
Yeah.
Other than brining chicken, of course.
I mean,
That's
I had my
important.
computer. That's how I would, yeah.
How many does your mom hate me?
I don't know. You'd have to ask her that.
If she'd come on stream, I would, but no, it's you work a lot of hours, a lot of hours, a lot of hours.
We got a lot of stuff that needs to be done.
We do. That is
There
true.
you go.
And
So,
we
Michael-
appreciate it.
Michael, what we got you?
Yeah.
Have you read Invincible?
I have, so I've got, in fact, do I have it within arm's reach? I've read whatever the first 8 hardcovers is,
Oh, nice.
basically.
That's
But a very long time ago.
2
And I kind
compendiums
of-
worth. Nice.
Yeah, as soon as Kyle started talking about using Invincible as a real big touch point for what he wanted to do with Radiant Black,
Mhm.
I kind of figured that I might not reread it.
Yeah.
Just so that Kyle can have the Invincible influence and I can be not thinking about that
Mhm.
and where that's coming from.
Yeah.
But one day, hopefully many years in the future, when we are finished Radiant Black, I would like to go back and read the whole thing because
Yeah, definitely.
everyone
I mean,
seems
what-
to love it. It seems good.
a much easier thing that you could do now is there's an Invincible show on Prime Video that you can watch.
That's true. And I don't have the Amazon one because there's too many streaming things, but
That's
they're
true.
reaching a point where they just have too many things that I have to watch. So
It's true.
that will happen at some point in the future, I suspect.
Well,
That's
and
right.
for that other thing, there's that show that you don't know.
I
About
mean,
that one,
Kyle,
but
you and I are working on so many things that I
For that
truly
other
do not
thing.
know which mysterious other thing you were talking about.
right. Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know either.
Okay.
There's a lot. It's but I'm glad to be doing it with you and the team. And I was explaining how we kind of make the book in real time, over
Yeah.
Hangouts and email and across 8 time zones.
As opposed to here's I wrote it. Here's all the words, everything's done, and passing it off, right? As opposed to that more traditional way
yeah.
of doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do that. But
sometimes, yeah. I mean, it very much depends on circumstances and who we're working with. Like, Ordinary Gods is a little more like that than Radiant Black is, just because of like the time zones that everyone is in and the way that that book has worked. We're a little further ahead on Ordinary Gods, so we can do that sort of thing. But it's fun.
Can you say how far along you are in Ordinary Gods?
yeah,
Well, 4 is done basically.
Wow.
5 is in
fully
progress.
laid out and halfway illustrated. Yeah.
Awesome.
Script on 6 is done.
Yep.
And we're working on 7 now.
Cool. It's great. The first issue, like TJ was talking a lot about it a little bit ago. It's a solid first issue. I really, really enjoyed it.
Out in 2 weeks, right? That sounds right,
Yeah.
Kyle?
Yeah, July 7th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
And then what for because I think especially Ryan will appreciate this. No disrespect to TJ and Bill whatsoever, but as the planner, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
TJ and Bill plan well, yeah, TJ plans. Bill, no, but as like the planner, especially when it comes to like like doing runs of show for like an episode like this or something like that.
Yeah.
What have you found from your podcast experience translates to what you're doing now in basically running the show on a bunch of comics?
I mean, the biggest thing for me, and I don't know how you guys work, on Range, like
They
a new
trade off,
episode of-
but yeah.
a new episode of Ranger Danger goes out at 7:00 a.m. every Wednesday, right? Like that's the rule.
Mhm.
And that means that we just have to be ahead, right? And so right now I think we've got 2 episodes recorded and edited that aren't live yet. That is not as far ahead as I would personally like to be, but we've had a bunch of we've just gone back into lockdown down here for 2 weeks. So the world is happening, and so
Yeah.
we fit in recordings when we can. And I think being 4 months ahead on Ordinary Gods at this point is the way that I would like to work on everything. We're not quite that far ahead on Radiant Black. We hit some delays as we were going. It always happens. But we are always it's not only Kyle. Like, Marcelo busted his hand real bad and basically had to sit out for a month, and that sort of stuff takes up a bunch of time, and it just eats into it. But a comic is due on a Monday morning to Image, and if it has to be ready, and it should be ready before the Sunday night, and that is what I am always trying to do, like catch up time where possible, get ahead.
Mhm.
Can you walk everyone through what the process of going to print actually entails? Because I don't think people don't really talk about how involved and nuanced and complex it really is. From the time we send files to Image to actually go, like we're walking away and boxes will show up with finished
so many
comics in
boxes
them.
show up. I have a stack of comps here.
I
was
just
have
literally
not
dealing with
bagged
this
and
earlier
boarded
today. Yep.
There's just I only get 3 of every cover. I didn't think it would be that many. I'm down. 1 short box is already full.
I have several hundreds.
Yeah, you get lots of
I'm-
copies.
I'm bagging and boarding every copy, so, like right
Yeah.
now. Like it's insane.
So we send files to Image about a month before the issue comes out. Does that sound right, Kyle? Give or take. I think it might be 5 weeks.
It's 5 weeks. Yeah.
Wow.
So they go in on a Monday. They have to be in. Image, basically, then 2 weeks after that, the files go to the printer. So the 2 weeks in the middle there is time for, if we have any like absolute last minute changes that we looked at something and we're like, oh, no, actually we want to change something. We can. I don't like to, but we can if we need to.
Mhm.
Image have proofreaders who will read the whole thing and go like, hey, you've doubled up a word here. There's a comma missing. They check my whole letters column and they do all of that. We hear their corrections. Sometimes it's a character choice or, I like a space after an ellipsis and they don't. But
It
most
literally
of the
just
time.
happened.
And no, that's why it's on my mind.
Yeah.
It's punctuation. It has a space. I'm not going to get into that. But we take their feedback, and if it's lettering, Becca will do it. If it's art, someone else will do it. Then so 2 weeks go by as that whole process happens. Retailer variants come in. If they need dressing, I dress them. If they don't, I just make sure they're the right format. And then basically Image just sends us a link to a printer portal that is like, hey, here's the issue at the printer, ready to go. Just check it. Kyle and I will usually both look over it unless one of us is extremely busy. And we just basically have to go through and approve all the pages. So at that point, a couple of other Image people drop in, and sometimes they'll be like, hey, this has the wrong back cover, or the Image logo is the wrong version of the Image logo because I'm working from an old file or something. And we make some last minute changes.
At this point, how close to street date are you? When you're getting the final proof?
3 weeks out.
Okay, so they take the 2 weeks or so of going back and forth for the corrections, and then at 3 weeks you're getting like kind of the final.
At 3 weeks, it is at the printer, like ready to go. 3 weeks before it comes out.
And this isn't, look, I mean, like, with what happened on issue 4, it's not something like I'm proud of or anything, or we're proud of, but we were running really hot on issue 4 and 5, just with Marcelo in his hand, and Marcelo had been sick as well, and it's just like, it's a grind. Doing a first arc always takes longer to get all the pieces working in sync.
I mean, I think we can do spoilers now, right?
Yeah.
So like we had like a bunch of characters to design that you've now seen, and like covers need to be drawn. Like I think issue 8 has been solicited, and we've sent in solicits for 9. We haven't sent 10 in yet. So like if Marcelo is doing the cover for issue 9 or whatever, like that cover has to be drawn, and he has to fit that into his schedule, and so you just lose a bunch of time.
And so on those issues, it was like we rode real hot, and
it was down to the wire.
Yeah. So the day, so what happens is the issue FOCs on Monday, and that's the day that everything's also at the printer to come out 3 weeks later. On Tuesday, that's drop dead. It has to go. You hit yes, and like that's it, and it goes.
So we should say, I don't know if people know, FOC is the final order cutoff, so that's the last time that retailers can get in their orders. Yeah. And basically the reason that works is they put in their orders, and then we tell the printer how many we're printing, and it's the number that
has to be like the same day.
Well, you want to give the retailers as much time as possible.
True. Yeah.
But we also have to print them and ship them across the world. So it turns out that takes about 3 weeks.
Yeah,
which is insane to me. It doesn't take longer.
Like sometimes I think about what happens like once I've signed off on it and it's gone at the printing end. They must print like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of comics every week, because every week there's a new batch coming out 3 weeks later.
And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to things in the world, but there are shortages across the board of like everywhere. The semiconductor industry, the paper industry, like things are closing, and it's like, are there enough vendors? Like there's like the shipping industry, like doing the OGN that we're doing, the trap. I'm actually going to send out a backer update, if not tomorrow, then first thing Monday morning, that lays out where the project is at, which by the way, like it's awesome. Like it's fully illustrated.
I've had a look, it's looking great.
Yeah, we're doing colors and letters now. Michael's going to probably help me out to get it across the finish line. But just planning on printing, it's like, and shipping, it's like plan for 3 months additional, because that's just what the industry is right now. It's crazy. So, but it is like monthly comics in particular are like a real specific beast. And the thing that Michael always says that makes me laugh is like, as a reader, you go, I have to wait a month for the next issue. When you're on the other side of it and you're actually having to make it, you're like, how do I only have a month?
4 weeks. There has to be a whole, like all of it. The whole thing has to be done 4 weeks later. And then you finish it, and you have to do another one. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I would just stick with trades. I would just be like, we're doing 6 issues at a time. It comes out when it comes out. That's it.
Okay, so
It's
the
crazy.
trade thing. So that is something I want to talk about right now because we haven't shown it. Michael, we could probably show it on stream right now.
Oh, am I gonna have to export
Exclusive.
something?
And on top of that, what I want to talk about is thoughts and feelings about trade dress design from the perspective of readers / fans, which we all are, and then as creators. And Michael, maybe you could show this trade in its entirety here, and then you guys can weigh in, and then through the lens of what you guys like collecting and what you look for in trade dress and things like that. Like I don't know. I just think this could be a fun topic here.
Do you want me to? Can I share my screen? Is that what you would like me to do? Is that a thing I can do?
You can share.
Marcelo,
I can share.
Marcelo Costa in the chat.
Oh, hey,
Oh,
Marcelo.
hell yeah. Hey.
Oh, hey, Marcel. Oh, he has to go back to work.
That's work.
Yeah, I was about, how are
Hello
you
and
doing?
goodbye.
How's the issue coming?
Here, Ryan, do you want me to email it to you real quick?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
do
Kyle's got the PDF of the trade. That is true.
Let's do that.
We had that.
So
do
this
you
is
want me to pull that up? I was just going to pull up the cover. I can do the PDF.
Oh, you can do the. Okay, no, show them the cover. That's fine.
Okay.
Let's
so-
keep the insider secret.
Bow,
For now.
bow, 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 exclusive.
Yeah, why? This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
This is it.
this
What?
is my life now.
What did Wyan say? Oh, yeah. I do that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Some editors don't like it, by the way.
yeah, Kyle. Yeah, some of them don't. That's true. Why do you think I do?
I think I asked. I'm like, do people hate it that work with you? This thing that you do, but it's a love-hate kind of thing. I'm sure
It's not hate. Like
Yeah.
that's how you've got to have lots of ideas to have the good ideas.
Mhm.
And sometimes Kyle says something, and sometimes the no is no, that's a terrible idea, or no, I just personally hate it and don't want to do it. Sometimes it's logistically we simply cannot achieve that goal. And sometimes it's, oh God, okay, I guess I'm not sleeping this week, but sure, yeah, that's cool. Let's do it.
We just firmed up an idea like a week ago for something in the distant future, like pretty far distant future, and we are all immensely stressed out about it already.
And let me be clear, that doesn't narrow it down for me. That could still be like 3 different things.
I'm talking about the thing that I messaged last week and said, okay, we're doing it. I got approval. We're doing it.
We will talk about it off air. I don't
Okay.
know. which
Wow.
You can talk
Alright.
about it now.
Look at all these exciting things. So this is this a world exclusive that's happening right now, Kyle and Michael?
Yeah,
People have
it's
seen the
the
trade
full-
cover, haven't they?
They've seen the front cover, but they haven't seen it. So a couple things to note. They haven't seen the back cover.
Okay, that's true.
They haven't seen the spot gloss plan, which I didn't include, but
Yeah.
we could talk through.
Okay.
But they also haven't, and I would be comfortable talking about this now if you're comfortable with it, but we also don't have to. The plan going forward, trade wise.
For trades.
There's a private chat if you need to say something.
I think we can talk about it obliquely, but let's not talk in too specifics just yet.
All right, ready
Okay.
for me? Ready for
We
me?
don't
to
want
show
to
it?
see. We don't want us to show the sketches or anything.
No, let's hold on to that.
Okay. All right.
All right. Here we
Just because it's a sketch, Kyle. If we had the finished thing, I'd show it. But
That's fair.
so I
So-
will note while this is up, not quite final, waiting for some like image proofreaders again to go over this and let me know if they've got any notes. But
Also,
I'm
the
exporting
price
these
point.
files next week.
The price point is.
Oh yeah, it's going to be
is
$9.99.
different. So just so everyone knows, this is a $9.99 trade.
Wow.
It's 100 and how many pages?
84, 184.
It's 184 pages with full spot gloss on the cover, $9.99. That's 6 issues plus a cover gallery. Plus, are we doing any other back matter? No, it's just the cover gallery.
There
But
is
it's-
a guide
says-
to translating the Radiant language on the last
Oh,
page.
fun.
Oh, so
So-
the
That's
cover gallery, is it going to include all the variants as well?
It will include every variant for issue 1 to 6,
Oh my god.
unless issue 6 sells out and we
And
do
get
a
the
second
second.
printing,
The book's got to be like this big.
well, they're like a quarter size. They're not full size.
Okay.
Just because, again, that would have been like 40 extra pages.
Yeah.
The only cover it won't include is if 6 sells out and we go to a second printing, because this has to go to the printer next week and we won't know yet.
This is a comparable size, self-made.
Here, hold on
So
a
this is
second.
192 pages. But it's
Yeah, it'll be about that big.
it's nice and thick, as the kids say.
For 10
They-
bucks.
Kyle,
Yeah, I don't understand how anyone is making money on it, but apparently everyone is. So that's nice.
the Flannel Death is asking, basically, can you describe like what spot gloss is?
And as you talk about this, Michael, I actually
Yep.
did just send Ryan the spot
Oh, damn it.
gloss
All right, give me a second.
plan.
Okay,
But
so
no, Michael can talk through it. Sorry,
I
Ryan.
can say,
No,
like,
no, I'm just
doing
gonna
the
say, I'm just
thing.
kidding.
I know,
I got this.
I know.
I got this.
Carl, can you hold up the self-trade
Yeah,
again?
absolutely.
That's
Self-trade.
self-trade.
Oh, yeah.
This is trading in black. So you can see on Amara in the cover there, she is shiny. And I think, Matt, if you get it on the logo is also shiny.
Okay,
so-
yeah. So it's a different gloss than.
Yeah, and
yep.
we've got that on the back as well, I think. It's on her hand, the hand at the top. You can kind of see it when Kyle angles it a little to the light there. There's some spots with some gloss, which is why it's called a spot gloss.
That's awesome.
Also, my cat is now trying to chew the bottom corner. Come on. Of the.
I love Pierre. Say hello for me.
Oh,
So-
no, he knows.
So on Tradiant Black, we are going to...
Is that what we're going with?
Trading
Yeah,
black.
Self-trade
Love
and
it.
Tradiant Black.
Love
So if you can bring that up on the screen, I can sort
Yep.
of like
Here we
point
go.
specific bits out.
We are now pulling it up.
We're still just looking at Kyle's face. Oh, there we go.
I know.
There you go.
I know.
So-
And
On the
Boom.
back, yep. So everything that's pink there, basically, is the current plan.
That's going to be the
this-
gloss. Okay.
That's going to be the gloss. So
Oh,
the
Ryan, well
selection
done.
on the front cover isn't perfect yet, because this was just for like internal approval. But this is that's what will be shiny. So all of the clouds, Radiant Black himself, the cool image on the back, and the pull quote and the image logo and stuff. That will all be glossed, but everything else will be that nice matte. So I'm very excited about getting to do this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we love it. I mean, yeah. And then going forward, well, why don't you, I mean, Michael, maybe you could talk just a little bit about the experience of planning for what will hopefully be a series of trade paperbacks, what goes into the design decisions, the aesthetic choices. Talk about the logo too. Like what is it about? How do you even approach building an initial collected edition like
Sure.
this?
I think so. There's a bunch of factors. I want it to feel. I guess actually, you know what? I'm going to start with the logo because it actually did start with the logo.
Okay.
This was a pitch I made to Kyle for the logo. Kyle's friend and regular collaborator Rich Bloom did our current series logo. It's very good. I like it a lot. There are some parts of it that are a little difficult to deal with month to month. Just like its dimensions and its proportions and stuff that like, so I pitched this logo to Kyle about 3 days too late for us to maybe use it instead. Like I didn't know we were quite down to the wire on this, but it turned out we were. And so Kyle was like, we ended up, look, it's fine. I make it work where we have to on the monthly book. Like it's not a huge deal. It's just a little extra time on my part. But coming into the trade, it was like, well, this is an opportunity to consider doing something different. It's a slightly different audience than the regular monthly audience. Like it's a big
Yes.
bookstore audience. So maybe something that looks a little different is not a terrible thing. And also, frankly, like I designed the first issue of Radiant Black at least a year ago. I don't know exactly when, but close to a year ago. And I have become a better designer since then. Like I've been doing a lot of design work, and I don't dislike it, but certainly my practice has progressed, and like I design things differently. And so when you get an opportunity like this to go, okay, let's refresh, let's update, let's do stuff, a chance to do it with a new logo, make the whole thing work. There's also different considerations. Like, I have to do one credits page here that covers a whole book, whereas on a single issue, it has to cover all the people in a single issue. Those lists are different. All of that stuff is different. And so then, truly, it's like taking elements from the existing single issues because they should feel like the same book because they are the same book inside. And then working out what else we need. We need chapter pages, or like a page that says this is issue 1, this is issue 2.
Yeah.
We need to do a cover gallery. We need to do no letters page in the trade, right?
Can I ask you your opinion?
Yeah.
Have you gotten a chance to read Oblivion Song?
I have flicked through Oblivion Song, and I have not read it, is the answer to that question.
The interesting thing about that book is that they do not do the issue breaks in their collections. Whether it's the trade or the hardcover,
it keeps going.
It just keeps going.
I really like that, but I think that the issues have to be built for it.
Yes.
Like, I think we have a couple of breaks, especially going from like issue 5 to issue 6, which we've said is like, it's a one shot, it's a separate thing, it's about Radiant Red's backstory. I think that needs a break, and without that break, it would like if like a book like Oblivion Song where issues more or less pick up where the previous issue left off, I think that is great. Yeah. And I would love to do that for a book at some point. Yeah. But this is not that book.
Yeah,
and
it's built different. That's the best way to put it. And he does have it broken up into. Does he call it books, TJ? It's something, but regardless, it's essentially like each trade paperback is a book or so. So each hardcover has the break in between the trades because sometimes there's passage of time because there are the moments in the story where you need to, have that. But I just thought that was interesting when you were talking about designing how that's going to lay out, because Invincible's done it a few different ways. Sometimes it's the cover of the issue, like exactly as is. Sometimes it just says on the bottom, chapter, and
Yeah, ours are big black pages that say issue 1 and the issue title on them, because that's how I like things to. The secret truth that I don't know that Kyle and I have ever really talked about is that a lot of the Radiant Black design is the way it is because it's just my first gut instinct for a design. Mm-hmm. Like the book could have colors in it, but it's black and white because I kind of like working black and white. And the reason we have big chunky text is because I'm a sucker for big chunky text. Like working on Ordinary Gods has been weird because that's not what I normally work like.
Yeah, it's more ornate.
Yeah,
but that's part of why I embraced it. Like with Radiant Black is like, I think most of us are doing what we like. The way that I'm writing, the way Marcelo is drawing, like down to our colors. Like, and we searched for a long time. We were going to bring a colorist on to help Marcelo. Actually, a couple colorists, like just because of schedules, and finding the right fit was like, no, let's do it the right way. Like, this needs to be something that everyone's happy with. I remember talking to Clayton Cowles, who letters a lot of my books, and had been lettering a lot of my books for several years. In addition to Troy Pateri, who did Cowl and Hadrian's Wall with me. Mm-hmm. And I reached out to Clayton about this one because he's doing Ordinary Gods. And he's like, you know what? He's like, I'm pretty booked as far as like creator and stuff goes, but there's somebody who I've been mentoring that her name's Becca Carey. Like she's good. He's like, and I'll never forget it. He goes, she's very inventive. And then I started looking at her stuff and it was like, ooh, it's weird in a good way. Like she's a designer. You can tell. And so then it's like, I don't know what that is, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be different. It's a voice I don't have. So like, let's bring that person in, In the past, sometimes that's kind of screwed me up a little bit, where it's like, I've gotten a colorist who was brilliant for an artist where it's like, ooh, I don't know what that could be, but I bet it's good. And unfortunately, sometimes it's not. Yeah. Sometimes it's muddy and they don't work well together. In this instance, the first thing Becca did was in designing location captions, she pulled a bit of Michael's design elements of like some like little data text, and she incorporated them into the caption boxes, and we were all like, whoa. And all of a sudden everything just kind of unified. So it is this kind of like little jazz ensemble, and we're all just kind of riffing
It's so
with
good,
each other.
especially the end of issue 5. Like, I've never seen lettering like that. It's
that's one of those things where, like, Kyle's script says like it's a little glitchy or something, right?
Yeah.
And you go like, well, I sort of understand what that would look like. And then the lettering pages come in, and like Kyle was saying, like came in real tight on deadline. Like we basically had to go with whatever they looked like. I was like, oh, I can read that and it's glitching.
Yeah.
I will
it almost messes with you. You're like,
I will work with Becca for the rest of my career if that's possible. I am her biggest fan.
And then just to bring it back all the way around, Michael, because you weren't on when we were talking about this, do you remember your reaction when I proposed the idea of incorporating social media / your experience actually with that social media, particularly that first tweet and the timestamp? And then the follow-up is, and when I pitched the idea of like, I want to do this thing called Circle Guy News, and it's going to be my friends from the Invincible podcast, and this is going to be awesome.
I truly do not like, Kyle, you have a lot of ideas, and I cannot remember how I feel about all of them in the moment. I think my gut instinct is that would have been as long as you are worrying about that, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because like, you guys seem great. I like you guys, but I cannot juggle another part. I cannot. That could not have been my responsibility as well.
And we were talking a lot about how, and something that you'd appreciate about how poignant it is to people that don't really get the meta-ness of it, that it just seems like here's a couple guys that claim to be, self-appointed experts on this thing, talking about this thing publicly. You know what I mean? Like, just this is what changing the narrative a little bit and kind of skewing that. It's been fun, but yeah.
Well, we should do more of it or something. I mean, only if the chat is into it. I mean, if they're not, we don't.
Of course,
Circle Guy News can die a quick death.
Don't save us, chat. Save us.
Well, this has been great, Michael. It's been awesome meeting you, and I know, Kyle, you've got a hard out in about 10 minutes or so. So we should wrap it up.
Yeah, we can do that.
Is that hard out with me, Kyle? Do we have something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, no. I thought I know what you're talking about, Ryan. No, that's not happening. But we do have to work.
that
I forgot. I did have a hard out. I had a hard out for a thing, and then they are not doing it.
Yeah.
But the trade is due on Monday, so we do have some stuff to finish off before that.
And Radiant Radio got pushed back, right?
Yeah. So that'll be hopefully that'll be next week.
Cool.
And that's the other thing. It's like coordinating that, the music, the
music.
The music. We didn't even talk about the music. There's another thing. Yet another thing.
Some days Michael just happens to almost be going to sleep when I send him a message that says, here's a link to watch the orchestra record
Jump on Zoom.
live.
There's an orchestra in Budapest about to record the Radiant Black song. It's like, well, cool, I'm in my pajamas, but all right, fine.
That absolutely happened. Yeah.
Man,
I feel like there was one more thing I was going to ask all of you guys together. This is like a weird crossover for me. I love it. Michael, from a podcasting standpoint, or Ryan, Bill, and TJ from a podcasting standpoint, like, what would you say? I think I'm the only one who's not running a podcast on this stream right now. I'm just going to ask all of you, what's something that you have either learned or experienced in diving into your fandom, but doing so in a more public way that you probably wouldn't have thought of or realized when you started the podcast?
Huh.
And ending up in a comic book is not an answer that is acceptable.
Is ending up editing a comic book something that is acceptable?
How about nothing that has to do with me?
Okay, all right.
You're saying like something that surprised us that we weren't expecting when we started a podcast?
How has your fandom for Invincible changed now that you've done this podcast as opposed to where you were before doing the podcast?
That is a very Ryan version of the question I just asked.
I mean,
Like in a good way. That is very,
that is kind of how I took that though. And my answer to that, and I think Ryan and Bill would agree with me when we say that, I mean, we enjoy it differently now, and we can't, and it's kind of, it's a good thing because we enjoy it differently, but it can be kind of a negative thing too, because we can't enjoy it the way we used to before doing the podcast. We pick apart everything. It's the same thing with the Oblivion Song podcast. For the first like 2 trades, like all we do is sit here and we talk about what's going to happen next, and we go over theories and theories. And it's something that we don't like. We used to just like read a comic and then think about it, maybe talk about it, and then go back to it like the next month. But we mull over it and we talk.
We would think about Invincible so much. We wanted to start a podcast where we just talked about it. Mm-hmm. Now we don't need to think about it because we podcast about it.
Exactly.
It's kind of weird that happens. And like there's 8 hours of Invincible like animated. It exists. Like this is something we dreamed about for years. It happened. It exists. It's awesome. I can go and watch it right now. I don't want to. I find myself wanting to wait, and like we did a watch along last month for episode 1. I can't wait to watch episode 2, and I like kind of holding those moments because I feel like they're fewer and further between, because like those exciting moments where it just get to be a fan of it and it doesn't feel too analytical because I analyze a little too much sometimes. So yeah,
I think I'm going to go on the complete opposite spectrum of what you're saying, Ryan, and that I really truly feel like what makes us jive so much is that we would literally sit in your house for hours on end and talk about Invincible and be like, what is going to happen here? Like after an issue, we would sit. I think we all met up. I think for the last issue, for the big issues, we'd come to your house and we'd sit there and read it. And this was before the podcast would happen. And we would do what we do. And we just put but a microphone in front of us. So for me anyways, Kyle, if I'm getting your question right, I don't really think my fandom has changed at all because I'm still as analytical. And like you and I were talking about it earlier, Kyle, where I'm like, some people are like, well, what would happen if this happens? And we would break it down then before we started the podcast. And I think that's what meshes so well with it, so.
It's interesting because my podcast is about a thing that is largely not good. And I say that with all the love in the world for Power Rangers. Like at its best, it's a good children's television show, right? Like at its best, that's what it is. In fact, at its best, it's a transcendent children's television show. But it's always a children's television show.
That's a good word. Transcend, right? Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know that I was a fan of Power Rangers. I knew a lot about Power Rangers. I watched a lot of Power Rangers as a kid, but I certainly didn't have the relationship to it that I have now. And I think for all of the many, many hundreds of hours that I've spent tearing it to shreds, I certainly appreciate the parts of it that work in a way that I didn't before.
Yeah.
You can't go, that sucked and that sucked and that sucked without going, okay, but this Eric dude who just shows up and hates everyone but still is a Power Ranger, that slaps.
Yeah. When I was ending my time on Nightwing, I mean, you can see, like, I have a giant Nightwing poster behind me that's signed by Scott McDaniel and Chuck Dixon. Like, and they signed it for me when I took over the book. And the only other issue number 1 of Nightwing before my issue number 1 was theirs. And it was that book that I grew up on and loved since I was 10 or 11 years old. I actually had met Chuck and Scott when I was a teenager. Like, Chuck was so encouraging. They both were. Like, I was 13, 14 years old, and I thought I wanted to maybe make movies and write a script. And Chuck Dixon took a script from me at a comic convention like just above and beyond, which made it very, very hard and often incredibly heartbreaking for me when I was writing my all-time dream character, but felt like I was writing the Heroes Reborn version of it, where like, doesn't matter how much I put in of myself here and how much I love this character, like, no one's going to like this. This isn't an era that is going to last or stand the test of time. The politics and the notes are so insane, and I'm a kid. I'm like 25, 26, trying to figure out how to do this for a living, terrified I'm going to lose my job at any point because it was so chaotic at that time and traumatic, by the way. And you only get one shot at your favorite character, and this is my shot. And when it came time to leave the book, because they decided it was time for me to leave the book, they wanted me to announce it. So I've never told the story, by the way. I stayed up like all night and I wrote the statement that I was going to put out about leaving Nightwing. Now, what I didn't say, it was like, it wasn't my choice. The book was still selling 40,000 copies a month, but circumstances and politics and the whole 9 yards meant they're going to cancel the book. So I wrote this letter about getting the opportunity to work on your all-time favorite character, the thing that you're a big fan of. And at the end, what I realized, and it became very cathartic for me, actually, was that very few people get to have the type of relationship with their favorite property or their favorite character that you guys get to have with Invincible, that Michael, you get to have with Power Rangers, that I got to have with Nightwing. And when I started on Nightwing, I was going, how do I leave a mark on Nightwing? How do I make my mark on this thing that I love, on this character, on this person that I love? And by the end, what I realized is like, I can't break this character, actually. Like, just because I can't really leave a mark, it also means I can't break him either. And while the time with the character was very tumultuous for me and very emotionally hard, and while there are a lot of books out there with my name on it, of my all-time favorite character that I'm not proud of and I don't love, Dick Grayson taught me how to be a better writer. And that's something that, like, I will always be thankful for. And that's where I say, like, I get to have a relationship with Nightwing, with Dick Grayson, with this character that very few people ever get to have. Even if it wasn't always great, even if I'm not super proud of, all the work, it's still something unique. And I think there is something to that, like crossing that Rubicon between loving a property and then creating associated with that property. It can be dicey, I was also the real question I was getting to too was like, did you think you would go this long? Like, did you guys think you would do 100 episodes? Like, Michael, did you think you would do 700 episodes? Like, what keeps you going? And beyond that, like, what have you learned from doing something so involved and for so long, if anything?
I think one thing to point is that, which, by the way, thank you for sharing that, Kyle. That's crazy.
I gotta add too.
I would like to change my answer that Mark Grayson touched me.
No.
I will say, like, I again, like Ryan said, thank you for sharing that. But your Nightwing run was incredible. I loved it.
Well,
I haven't read it. I'm sorry.
Better that
Ryan,
way.
what were you saying?
What I was gonna say was, in regards to, like, did we think it would go this long and all that kind of stuff. Michael, you said you guys are entering 7 years.
We're in our 8th, I think, is how it works.
In your 8th, yeah. In 700 episodes ish.
I'll check that number. Hold on, I've got a spreadsheet.
Yeah. What I was getting at though is, like, we've just barely crossed 100 episodes, but we're a little over 5 years now.
Yep.
So that's why, like, the ratio there between those two podcasts, that's why we're still going, is because we spread it out. Honestly, I mean, we had to space it out for our own sanity and for,
Sounds smart.
But
but for the amount of content there is too, like we could just, keep talking about the same things over and over. We could just keep doing it, but we decided to, spread it out a bit, make it like a comic book. You know what I mean? Make it a monthly thing. Make this next episode that's going to be live next week is over 2 hours long. We just finished recording that for anyone that's unaware. We haven't really said it yet, but it's over 2 hours long, and it's broken up into 4 segments. I mean, we could have broken that up into 4 weeks, done weekly, edited it into 4 parts, rendered each one, uploaded each one, done all that kind of stuff, made descriptions, done all that kind of stuff. But it's like, you know what? We're going to put out one large thing. We're going to take the time to figure out what it's going to be about. Is it worth talking about this thing? And then, release it. And if you want to watch it in parts or whatever, but we were bi-weekly for a while in the beginning, but we knew there was a point where we have to switch to monthly. Otherwise we're just going to be done. We're going to have to stop.
That was a little ways through it too. I mean, we
went half the time
I will say, like, the simple answer to your question is, did you think you would be going this long? We've been over 5 years. The answer is no. I mean, how many months were we into the podcast? Just like a few months before the end of all things was announced and the comic was ending. We had just started the podcast, and here we are 5 years later.
Yeah, it ended a year after we started the podcast.
Absolutely not. We did not think that we would still be here. Even monthly, we did not think we would still be here.
Yeah.
Michael, how long ago did the seasons of Power Rangers end that you guys
We are currently covering every episode of Power Rangers Time Force on the 20th anniversary of the day it came out.
Jesus.
So yeah, like, again, I'm in the opposite position. There's 900 episodes of Power Rangers.
Michael, tell
you
him.
Can cover. You guys cover, I'm assuming, all forms of the media, right? I mean, comic books.
We are halfway through Power Rangers, basically.
Oh my God.
Tell them your idea. Tell them what you're doing with episode 300 and 399 and 400.
With 399 and 400, we're doing them out of order because they aired out of order.
Wait,
because we're doing them on the 20th anniversary of the day they came out.
Explain this. Explain.
So you're doing them in air date order?
So the thing is, for a long time, Power Rangers aired like Monday to Friday, right? Yeah. By the time it got to the point that we're up to, it was airing one new episode a week on Saturday mornings, right?
Yeah.
It just so happens that because of the way dates shift in weeks, the dates that were Saturday mornings 20 years ago are now Wednesday mornings this year. And it has truly, with 1 week of wiggle room that I had to do, every episode now gets to come out on its 20th anniversary.
Oh my God.
So like the episode that comes out next Wednesday will come out 20 years to the day.
That's
fucking it's
awesome.
Truly, we started on a Wednesday in October in 2013. We didn't pick it for any reason other than that it was when we were ready to go.
Yeah, Ryan's going to hyperventilate. This is Ryan's.
I am so excited you guys finally all get to meet. You have no idea. I am so excited.
Look at Ryan. Look at him.
So,
yeah, I know.
All right. We started the podcast. Episode 50 of the podcast. Yep. Robert Kirkman loves like 25, 50, 75, those quarter numbers.
So do we, by the way. Just flagging that early.
Episode 50 of the podcast, without any shuffling around, was the final issue of Invincible with Robert Kirkman on it.
See? It's insane.
And then,
wait for it.
Without any weird shuffling around, in fact, we had to, we didn't have to do anything. Without any shuffling around, episode 100 was the finale of the show with Robert Kirkman.
Perfect. See?
Yeah.
Sometimes the world loves it.
It's so nice. I mean, it's not 20 years later, but that's insane.
But so, to get to your the truth is, I didn't think we'd do 16 episodes. Episode 17 is the first episode where the Green Ranger shows up, and I didn't think we'd make it there. Right?
Wow.
I truly did not think that we'd make it there. How did you not know? Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Because there was no show before the Green Ranger showed up.
Yeah, there was no comic before the Green Ranger showed up.
That is true. Tommy's the man.
We can't do this. I will
get in trouble on the internet for a full week.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but I didn't think we'd make it that long. And then we just kept going. right? Like there was more Power Rangers to do, and we just kept going. And then at one point, like 6 months in, Matt said on the podcast that he refused to stop until we'd done every episode. And now, like a monster, I will hold him to that. And a decade from now, we will finish. I have the opposite thing. I secretly kind of hope that they end Power Rangers at some point. Like it's because they can keep making it. That's fine.
You'll never stop.
It'd be nice to be able to point at the date in the future and be like, okay, when I turn 50 years old, I will be done.
And you know what? It will be on your 50th birthday, the final episode, because that's how these things work.
Oh my God.
That's truly a full 20 years away, and I cannot cope with that. I can't do this.
Please let me end this podcast.
So I gotta. So have you watched like the crazy later seasons of Power Rangers? I'm not familiar at all with it.
The short version is we are now more or less up to the point where I stopped watching as a kid.
So you're going to be watching this for your first time.
Yeah, we're seeing stuff now that I don't think I've ever seen before for the first time. And we also watched some of the newer stuff as it was airing. We had to stop doing that because we have lives and jobs and stuff. But we were watching some of that like the week it came out and putting out episodes, and that was fun as well. But the new season is apparently very good. I'll get to it for a decade from now. Yeah,
I wonder if there's like a massive tonal shift in your podcast where these are what you watched up until when you're a kid, and when you started as an adult, you're like, this is just shit now. Like,
it's interesting because we're currently on I won't keep going for too long. We're currently on a season that is very like fans love it. It has a lot of like people. It's the one of the seasons that people are like, oh, that's good. And going through it a week at a time, there's some rough stuff in the middle there, boys. Oh boy, she's got a bracelet that makes men fall in love with her, does she? We're doing that for a full week. Love it. Great. Cool.
Talk about actually this is a funny little bit. Like I remember when I was doing the book, some of the notes, I want to be careful here, but some of the notes we would get at times were frustrating. And on the Power Ranger book, I mean, through no fault of anybody, but they're frustrating. And at a certain point, I remember telling Michael about one of them, and I think your response was, this is a show where in a 2-part time travel episode, what they say in episode
I'll be so angry. I'm so angry.
Can we tell? Go do it.
Like the Green Ranger in the first part gets a message from himself in the future in the first part. So 20 minutes later in the second part, he sends that message back. It's a different message. They didn't just call. They call the Power Sword like 3 different things. It's a bad show. It's not a good show. I don't know what to tell you. It's bad.
Should our next podcast
and
be
it's
on
your
something
entire
that
life.
we hate? Like,
I don't recommend it.
We don't. We all. That's the thing is we like Power Rangers. It's strange.
You couldn't watch something for 8 years that you hated.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and yeah, but the fact that apparently anybody I meet I end up working with is what or on a podcast I end up working with. So that's what I'm seeing here.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm angry about that again.
Oh, about the time travel? Yeah,
I wish you hadn't reminded me.
Kick the hornet's nest. So,
yeah. Kyle, were you a fan of Power Rangers before writing it?
I was. I was when I was a kid, especially. I mean, the letter in the back of Radiant Black #1 is all 100% true. Like I was a huge fan when I was about 8, and then it was the biggest thing in the world, and then it became like incredibly unpopular like 6 months later for my age range.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was like for you guys in school because we're all like the same age, but like everybody younger than me kind of stuck with it, but everybody in my class was like, oh, you still like that, you know, and I won't even use the words, the things that were said in 90s Illinois, you know, but I drifted away from it. And then every like 10 years, I feel like I would end up, once YouTube came around, I would end up down like an internet rabbit hole and then a YouTube rabbit hole of like, hey, I remember a sword that talks. Like,
yeah.
whatever happened to that, or
Sabo,
who did
yeah.
that voice? And then it would turn into like watching videos of actors, saying, like, talking about each other at conventions and the weird drama and beef between people that, and this is when I was in college. I would see that stuff. I was like, oh wow, that's okay. Well, Power Rangers is still around. And then when Boom got the license, it was like, I know what to do with that. I think I know what to do with that. So
It's one of the earliest movie-going experiences, like in the theater, was seeing the Power Ranger movie with my mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I have memories of, other movies when I was really little, but like I remember distinctly that experience of seeing it in theaters.
That opening scene.
Oh yeah.
Of the plane.
Well,
the sad having
Michael,
so
and what was interesting, where I thought you were going with the question before with Michael, because Michael, you're a few years younger than us.
Sure.
And so what was your season? Was it Turbo?
Yeah, I don't remember watching Mighty Morphin as a kid.
Or In Space, maybe?
Yeah, it's sort of like, In Space, Turbo, Lost Galaxy, a little bit of Lightspeed Rescue. I was kind of falling off by that point. So, just a couple of years behind you, basically.
Yeah, because probably same as Bill and TJ, Turbo was right when it was like, all right.
That's about it. Yeah.
When was Zeo?
After Mighty Morphin. Immediately following.
Because I remember Zeo. I remember Zeo.
Zeo was where they had like the star and the
all the different shapes on their helmets.
And it was the machine people. I remember that.
Yep. The Machine Empire, yeah. The other thing that Michael and Matt do for the podcast, although it's not actually, well, wait, it's Tim, isn't it? That does it.
I truly don't know what you're talking about yet.
They do a theme song. I feel like you guys probably have a new appreciation for opening theme music. Yours being by the always amazing Wyatt Lane, who is chat right now. But Michael, is it Tim that does your guys' covers of?
I do everything except the vocals, basically.
Oh, really?
I do all the arrangement.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Do you do a new intro for every season?
Yeah, it's a parody.
Like
of
an arrangement of parody.
Rangers.
Oh, that's so cool.
What else would you do?
That's
Matt wrote the Mighty Morphin one. Matt wrote like the lyrics out. He was moving and I was driving the van for him. And I was like, that's got too many syllables in it, Matt. That's not how it works. But we stuck with it. And then, I mean, you have to do a new one when you get to Zeo. And then even if there's a new theme song every 40 episodes, maybe you just have to make it work.
Yeah. Once
Michael,
you start down that train.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this. Did you see that Wyatt did a Circle Guy News theme riffing on Sam Ewing's Radiant Black theme?
I didn't. That rules. I'm very excited to check it out.
I was gonna say that we should have opened this stream.
Oh, TJ, that would have been better.
Yeah, as soon as you started the theme, I was gonna be like,
that would have been smarter. Come on. Well, we can always end with that.
Do you have it accessible?
Wyatt, where should I find that full thing?
It's like a French synthwave. It's super cool.
All right, well, give me a sec.
While Ryan is looking for that, Kyle, you talked about your love for Batman and Nightwing, and then you wrote Nightwing and Batman. You talked about your love for Power Rangers, and then obviously you wrote Power Rangers and completely changed it for the better. When you were in Buffalo, you and I shared how much we grew up as Batman fans and Power Ranger fans, and the one thing your dream IP to get a hold of, I want Kyle Higgins to write Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one day.
Well, I don't want to take anybody's job or like or be viewed as like I'm coming, like I'm like campaigning or advocating to anything like that. But
I'm just saying I want it.
If there were ever an opportunity to do something on the Turtles, I would absolutely do it, like in a heartbeat. Like it doesn't, I don't care how big or small it is. Michael might tell me I'm not allowed to from a schedule standpoint, but it's the Turtles. Yeah, it's the turtles. Like, there are a few things I love in life more than the Chicago Bears and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
TJ, can you forward it to me? He emailed it to you.
Sure.
The Flannel Death, the IDW run is so good. It is. I've read the first probably like 7 trades, and I loved it. Yeah. City Fall, that's where I stopped. I read through City Fall. So whenever that was.
TJ, are you still reading? I know you're doing something. Are you still reading the what is it, Last Ronin?
I am behind on it, but yes, it's very good.
Yeah.
I think I'm behind. I don't know if issue 3 came out yet or not, but it's very good. Do you know about that, Wyatt? Kyle? I'm looking at Wyatt's email. That's why.
I do know about that. I also know that as I was writing Shattered Grid and also writing it's so funny that the text I just got. Ryan Parrott just texted me, one of my best friends, who Michael knows very well as well. He runs all things Power Rangers now. But as I was wrapping up Shattered Grid, I was still working on Shattered Grid, and I was writing the Soul of the Dragon graphic novel. It came up that there was a Power Rangers Turtles possible like story, and I was like, I have to do that. I have to write that. Can I write that? And they were like, no, like you're writing the world's biggest like event right now, comics event, and trying to do this graphic novel. And like, I was late on everything. Like I was so burnt out, and I was like, yeah, you're right, but it's the Turtles. So I'm so glad that Ryan got to do it. I'm so happy for him. I'm ridiculously jealous because that could have been my shot to write some Turtles. But somebody brought me a Power Ranger Turtle comic at New York Comic Con in like 2019. And I had just seen Ryan like 5 minutes earlier. And I was like, I didn't write this. And they're like, no, I know, but I know you love the Turtles. Like, can you sign it? I was like, can I write a word balloon to one of the Turtles? And they were like, do I have to pay you for that? And I was like, I'll pay you. and I got to write some little dialogue. And I don't know, it was probably like something about a Jose Canseco bat. Tell me you didn't pay money for this. Jose Canseco bat. Tell
Bill,
me you didn't pay money for this.
I always quote the same part of the movie, and Bill always makes fun of me because I quote it so much.
Which part?
Go ahead, Bill.
A TV news reporter, a couple throw pillows. That part.
Oh, what do you think?
A TV
Are you
news reporter.
crazy? Yeah, I'm loony. Okay.
I'm crazy.
I'm
Okay.
crazy. Okay. I have a funny. The last thing I'll say about this, and then we'll shut up and play this theme, because Michael doesn't like the Turtles. He's anti-amphibian.
That's an unfair statement of my position.
Okay.
I'm like 5 years younger than you. I just missed them completely.
Yeah.
The Turtles that were on the TV were the live action, like with Venus de Milo, and so
Last Mutation.
that's not for me.
I like that too, though.
So the one time I've been to Australia and New Zealand was for a convention in like fall of 2014, and my girlfriend at the time and I went, and we were there with like, you know, the other comics people. It was basically people that were doing Batman Eternal. So like James Tynion and John Layman, Derek Robertson was there. And so we were all hanging out as comics people, but there were all these like actors and stuff like that because they fly in from the US, and we all just kind of like hung out for 2 weeks. And it was like it was really awesome. And we all got to know each other and everything. But on the first day we land after a 17-hour flight, something crazy, and it's broad daylight, which is already like, what is going on here? And it's very warm because it's summer when it should be cold. And we step off the plane, and I look over, and it's like, oh, that's Kevin Eastman, one of the co-creators of the Ninja Turtles. And I had forgotten he was coming on this trip as well. And so we all end up in a van together, along with like Margot Kidder, who I haven't met yet, but my I'll put it this way: they've both passed away now. But my mentor, Margot, and him used to joke around about like, oh, has anybody seen Tom? And it's like, oh, I saw him in the bathroom, and Tom's coming. He's like, it's not the 70s anymore. It's not the 70s anymore. And so I it's like, oh, well, this is Lois Lane and the guy who created the Ninja Turtles, and this is awesome. And I have this thing with all my friends where anytime somebody says something about cricket, we drop into cricket. You got to understand what a crumpet is to understand cricket. Nobody understands cricket. And this whole like Raphael, like Bogart speech. And Kevin Eastman says cricket in the cab.
Oh.
And I turned to Jen and I was like, cricket? You got to understand. Nobody knows what cricket is. You got to know what a crumpet is to understand cricket. And as I'm like halfway through the sentence, I realize none of these people have met me. And Margot Kidder probably has no idea, is wondering why is this like 20 something white pasty kid from clearly the, has trying to do a bad New York accent. Like, why is he talking about cricket? But there's one person in the van that if anybody would know what I'm referencing, would probably maybe be him. And that's Kevin.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know that I love the Turtles. All he knows is that I'm quoting lines from a movie in 1990 in a van of people with him. And I really hoped he didn't hear it, but he did. And and it took me like 3 or 4 days to get up the courage to like actually go talk to him to make sure he didn't hate me or anything. And he absolutely didn't. He is one of the sweetest people on the planet, but it was like it felt like a massive foot and mouth moment in particular about this thing that I actually truly love.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
All right, we're going to watch or check out Wyatt's music for the CGN comic, or I'm sorry, the
CGN news team.
Yep. And
yes, turtles are reptiles. Did I say amphibians? I meant reptiles.
All right, let's see.
Aren't they also amphibian?
Well,
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm
Will it
self-conscious.
play audio?
If not, let me know.
No audio.
No audio.
We hear Oliver meowing. I thought maybe that's what it was.
That's a good question.
That is actually the
I know. Nope, I know how to do this. You're just gonna have to give me a minute.
Oliver is actually it was working. It's Oliver singing over our track.
Wyatt sampled your cat, and not in the cool way.
I actually know how to do this.
It's just him meowing.
Yeah.
And
Michael, why don't you, as Ryan works on this, the last time we had a music cue that you were associated with, was at a little Power Ranger convention right after I'd blown out my knee. And
you say right after, like you blew it out like 3 minutes before the panel started.
And 2 Power Rangers caught me as I fell, blacking out from the pain. And then as we had to announce it, and there was a moment where I said, Michael, can you cue the music?
Truly a life goal of mine that I didn't know I had. That was fun.
We dropped new Power Ranger music.
Yeah.
okay,
We should do a table read for Radiant Black.
We should. Ooh, who would be a good Nathan and who would be a good Marshall in chat?
Can I tell you wildly, I have answers for the other 3, and I don't have an answer for Nathan and Marshall.
I don't know if I know your answers for the other 3. I have an answer for Marshall.
Okay. Is that the one that I know
You
about?
know,
that we've
yeah,
talked about?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you and I, we've talked about, I can say this, but these people aren't attached to this book in any way.
Yeah.
You and I talked about, this is spoiler safe, Radiant Yellow. We talked a lot about Giancarlo Esposito as a sort of like not even as an, like that, what he should look like, what he should be like. Radiant Red, I've always thought of as, I don't know if you guys know Erika Ishii. She's like a streamer, voice actress. Is exactly the right tone of voice in my head for Red. And Radiant Pink. Why do I think I have someone in mind for Radiant Pink?
Well, you might.
Oh, I do. I do. I'm not going to say who that is.
Yeah. I'll tell you who. I've never said this publicly, but in my mind, for live action,
Yeah.
for Nathan, Andrew Garfield.
Oh,
We
that's
have
great.
talked about that.
Yeah.
The idea of like Nathan is kind of a millennial reinvention of like a Peter Parker archetype who's like, you know, doing the best he can. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Andrew Garfield literally played Peter Parker. And I just think that's a fun, in the spirit of the meta-ness we already have, that's a really fun meta turn.
All right, I got it. This
All
should
right.
work.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back after this, and this should work. Let's try this.
Yeah,
We-
that's right.
We should have opened with that.
We should have opened with that.
Damn it.
But we're closing with it, so that
Close
works.
with it, yeah.
That's right. That's right. Thanks, Wyatt, for that.
That's awesome.
good.
That's awesome.
We need to find more like reasons to use that because it's too good.
Yeah. And I just want to like say one thing as we wrap up here. Kelvin posted in the chat, and I just want to say this out loud purely so you can all see Michael and my visceral like reaction as I'm going to have to reach for antacids. Heard it here first, guys. Giancarlo Esposito will play Radiant Yellow in the Radiant Black movie with Andrew Garfield. That's not the part that gives me the indigestion. It's this part. Coming in early 2022.
You thought 1 month for a comic was bad. You guys got work to do.
You gotta get back to work.
Here's what people don't really understand. I'm not kidding when I say on social media, we're not selling Radiant Black unless we're making it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's just not happening.
And you shouldn't.
But that also means we have to make it along with continuing to make the comic.
And not just the comic, all the comics.
All of it.
Yeah.
So get back to work, guys. We got to end it here.
So let's wrap up here. But let's go. But as the final tag, if you guys can stick around off stream, all of you, I have an idea.
No.
I'm serious.
Wouldn't
I know
it be
you are.
cool
Of
if?
course
I'm-
you're serious. That's
I'm
the problem.
totally serious. I have an idea to run by you. I'm
right,
serious.
cool. Yeah, we'll stick
What
around.
could it be?
Bye,
right.
everyone.
Bye, guys. Bye, chat. Thank you for
Bye.
joining. Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye,
Thanks for joining, guys.